Welcome to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek, brought to you by Onyx Backcountry. I'm your co-host, Zach Badger Davis, and sitting to my right is...
Hi, I'm Juliana Chauncey, a.k.a. Chaunce.
Question of the day. What is something you do on trail that you've started to do in everyday life as though it's normal, even though it's not? This was a submission from a listener, and I don't have it handy because I'm doing show notes on my phone, but their name was included. Carla something, I want to say.
Okay.
Shout out to Carla something.
It's hard to, pick one
Carla Mitchell.
thing. I think just, my general lack of regard for myself and, how I'm viewed and, my cleanliness sometimes. I just, feel like the hiker trash vibe never stopped. It just started being, how can I make this seem acceptable in my day-to-day life and, pretend I shower a little more than I do and just, try to remember to shave when I'm going to wear shorts in front of, a large group of people. And, I still don't do it a lot of the time, but I try to remember to. But a lot of the time I'm just I don't care.
Yeah.
And I think that didn't happen as frequently before the trail. But now I just don't care.
Yeah. That's good. No, for me, the hygiene is definitely the biggest one, and you guys are getting a live sample of that today. Apologies again,
No.
But I smell really bad. I did not put deodorant on.
I can smell you from here.
Yeah, it's bad. Through the internet. It's going through the cloud. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a bra right now. It's a Merino Wool Bra. I've been wearing it for almost 2 weeks. To sleep and during the day and working out. It's a testing thing I'm doing, but... it's a testing thing I'm doing. No, I'm not showering. It doesn't smell. Do you want to smell my bra?
I don't want to smell your bra.
It doesn't smell.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And I've showered
armpit?
one time.
Or can you smell my armpit already?
Well, you've probably showered more than one time in that time frame.
Well, and I smell is the point.
I don't, but I also smell. So if I tried to smell, I'd probably smell myself because I'm a little closer to me.
It's true.
Being me.
We'll make a bet at one point during the show, and the loser has to smell the other person.
Okay, cool.
Weeze.
Yeah, hi.
The same question applies to you.
Yeah, it's the same answer, but I haven't shaved my armpits really since the PCT, and I just embrace it.
Yeah.
Do they get to a length and then they just stop, or is it a constant growth?
My armpit hairs can get quite long and gnarly.
Can we see them?
I mean, I trim them actually sometimes. I don't shave them. Of course.
You trim. Okay, so you do some.
Oh, she's going for it.
This is a reminder that we are on video now. You can see this on YouTube.
That's almost.
Maybe can we
You can't see anything.
Because
I don't see anything.
Oh, because I just.
Oh no! Now I see. Now that you're ruffling it up a bit, I see it. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I just did some maintenance because I could.
So what is the maintenance routine for not shaving but maintaining?
I also
Girl
just
stuff 2.0.
Yeah. Sorry.
I don't shave them all the way anymore. I will actually shave them maybe once a year. But I also just stopped washing my armpits with soap. I'll use deodorant. But I heard that might make you smell better if you don't use soap on your underpits. So I'm just trying it. It's a new thing.
That's interesting.
It's a new thing.
Why would that not apply to everywhere on your body?
Well, I used less soap. So let's just put it this way.
Yeah.
You're asking this question, and I used less soap.
Listen, I did soap my armpits today, and they smell like pure trash. So I'm into the theory. If that makes sense, I'm going to be very upset myself.
Yeah.
And we'll do the proper introductions in a minute, but Dirty A, do you have anything you want to add to the question of the day?
What was the question again?
Wait, can you speak more clearly into your remote control? The question of the day is, what elements of your on-trail life have bled into your off-trail life, more or less?
I mean, yeah, I'll have to agree with you guys on the whole, caring about, the physical appearance and how many times you shower and stuff like that. And then also just, not caring about how many things you own, I guess.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. I will say for a significant period of time after the PCT, probably 2 or 3 weeks or so, I was still doing the thing where I would poop immediately after I woke up. That went away pretty quickly, but I feel like that's an on-trail thing. I don't know why.
I feel like a lot of people on trail have that routine. I've never been able to form a routine, and I don't really understand how people can just be and now is when I'll go.
Yeah.
I'm just you. It kind of lets me know a little bit, and then it lets me know a lot of bit, and it's kind of never the same.
Sometimes it's so urgent that it's my alarm clock. I'll wake up at 5 because this is about to be a mess.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely was on a schedule. on trail for the most part.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at your poop. I'm laughing at your remote control.
Please keep
I'm not
using
going
the
to
remote
stop.
control. Please keep using it.
Very good question of the day. Thank you for the submission. One reminder of any kind: we are coming to Wisconsin.
Woo!
We'll be roaming through the Badger State from, I don't think we've announced the dates yet. So here it is, if you're listening, October 10th through the 17th. We'll be meandering. I won't give the details quite yet because we don't actually have them all
That's
ironed
awesome.
out. But we
cheese.
do know that we're going to the Wisconsin versus Army game. We do know that we're going to be hosting a couple of meetups, including one in Madison the weekend of the game.
Army, like West Point?
Yeah, like the Army.
Like the one like 30 minutes from my house?
Is that where it is? I don't know.
Yeah, so it's going to be the team near me versus the team near you.
Shit.
Oh.
You still have to wear Badger stuff per the contractual agreement.
But
I
I
got
will
some
be
Badger stuff
cheering
for
at
ya.
the wrong times.
You always do. Yeah, trails will be trekked,
else are we
cheese will be
doing?
eaten, beer will be drinking, poops will be pooped.
Are we going to do a
Brats
circle?
will be eaten. Cheese will
Yeah,
be eaten.
thank you. That's right. We have a native Wisconsinite here. So, what are the other Wisconsin things that we're forgetting?
Beer, cheese, and brats. And
Yeah.
Yeah. And sports. You
Brandy,
got it.
I think
Brandy old fashions,
Yeah.
brandy slush.
it's something like 80% of the brandy consumed in
Is
the
in
country is
Wisconsin.
from Wisconsin.
What?
Yeah.
True dat.
What's brandy made of?
I think it's like a hybrid. It's like a sweeter whiskey, basically, to my understanding.
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes,
I'm
that
surprised
would
that's
be a
not like
great way to put
Kentucky.
it.
Don't they do the whiskey thing?
That's bourbon, but yeah, whiskey, bourbon, kind of interchangeable.
Bourbon's also whiskey, right?
Yes, and I forget which one is the parent cloud, but I think bourbon, and then you got whiskey, scotch, or maybe it's the other way around. Anyways,
A bourbon's a whiskey, but a whiskey isn't a bourbon. Like how a rectangle's a square, but a square isn't a rectangle.
yeah. But the fact that we don't know the actual answer to this makes us all squares. So let's just go to our
I'm
interview
ready.
today.
Okay, and Weeze might come. That's the other thing we need to mention is that Weeze might
I'm
come.
like, Weeze's right here.
No,
but-
she might come to the
yeah,
road trip.
Yeah.
Why not?
Just
Yeah.
like to meet
You're-
us along the way.
Make it happen. Yeah, come
yeah.
hike with us.
Yeah, you'd be. I mean, that's my hometown. You probably. I mean, if you're going to Lodi.
Does the trail go through Lodi?
Yes.
Like the Ice Age
Hell
Trail.
yeah.
Yes. It
that
goes
what's
right
happening?
through my
Yeah.
hometown. Yeah, it's like all my Gibraltar Rock. That's all my stomping grounds, yo.
Have you done backpacking on the Ice Age Trail?
No, but I was gonna do some this summer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do it. Forget the summer, or do it the summer also, but come out in October.
Okay.
Hike with us.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to today's interview. This is the first like disjointed interview we've ever done, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, this one's a little different.
Yeah. So we've got in studio. You've heard her voice 100 times on the show already. Good friend of the show. It is Weezer.
Hi.
And someone we've been trying to get on the show for a long time. She is. I don't even have the full resume on hand, but I know that you hiked the PCT because it's the same year. Hashtag PCT
Yeah.
2017.
We met briefly with Jabba.
Yeah,
At Crater
going in
Lake.
opposite directions. Yeah. Thanks for saying that into the remote again. We'll get into the full backgrounds in a minute, but she is Dirty Avocado. Thank you
Correct.
so much for joining us through the cloud.
Thank you for having me. Sorry I
What should
can't
we
be there,
call
but
you?
I'm sick, and I don't want to get you guys sick.
Yeah, strange times. Yeah, we don't have to get.
Dang pandemics.
Yeah.
Or Kotezi, also known AKA.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like you
Dirty A.
either know her as
Dirty
one
A.
or the other.
Yeah.
Like
either one.
for a while, I didn't know that it was the same person. I'd heard things about because we hiked the same year, so I'd heard things about a Dirty Avocado, and then I heard things about a Kotezi. And
have
one
many
day I put it
names.
together, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Let's start
Not
off,
like a lot,
let's-
just like good things.
Let's start out with the Dirty Avocado Kotezi intro because Weeze has been on the show a handful of times. I'm guessing most people are familiar with her. We'll do the brief intro in a second, but if you could just give us like a run through on your background, and then we'll save the most recent trip for the bulk of the conversation here.
Yeah, so you can call me Dirty, Dirty A, which is short for Dirty Avocado. And I guess I started hiking in 2016. I quit my job in 2016. I had been doing that for several years. And I
What
went,
was the job?
I was a manager at a packaged goods facility. We were doing raw vegan packaged goods. It was like part of a restaurant. So I was managing that, and it was good. It was in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I just felt that I needed a change. So I decided that I wanted to go hiking. So I quit, and I hiked the John Muir Trail. And then on the John Muir Trail, I met a bunch of PCT hikers at VBR, and that was a fun time. and they convinced me to hike the PCT the following year. So I got home and just like got right into it and started planning for my hike the next year. Hiked the PCT and then hiked a few other trails since then, and the rest is history.
Yeah, don't yada 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 that, because I know you've basically been hiking since you fell into this world. So if you can just give us like a quick run through, because there's a couple of these that I'd actually like to learn more about.
Yeah.
Resume.
So, okay, the PCT in 2017, and then the Tahoe Rim Trail the following year, along with some sections in Oregon and Washington that year as well, because I couldn't hike due to the fires in 2017. So in 2018, I did those along with the Tahoe Rim Trail. And then the year after that, the lowest to highest route with a couple of my friends. That was really fun. That was like my first route. So a lot of off-trail stuff, and that was really fun.
And what is the lowest to highest route?
The lowest to highest route is a hike that starts at Badwater in Death Valley, and it goes all the way up to the summit of Mount Whitney. And we
That's
didn't.
insane.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But we didn't get all the way to the summit because of bad weather. So I guess you could just call it lowest to highish.
Was it like super hot? Because I drove kind of from, well, I actually did, not kind of, but I drove from Whitney through Vegas, or not Vegas, through Death Valley to Vegas. And it was like a microwave the whole time.
So that was my fear. I have kind of like this phobia of the heat and like just desolate desert. And I'm still kind of working on it. And the AZT was great for that. But yeah, I thought it was going to be like relentless and I was just going to die. And this is why like I go out and do these things, because like I just want to like keep facing my fear so I cannot be afraid of it anymore. But surprisingly, Death Valley, or the parts that were supposed to be hot, weren't really that hot at all. Like I was wearing my puffy a lot of the mornings in the desert, and we were even post-holing, like waist deep going up Telescope Ridge. So that was crazy. Post-holing in Death Valley.
Where's that ridge?
Telescope Ridge. Yeah. So like you start in Badwater, and it's about 20 miles from Badwater all the way up to Telescope Ridge. So right under Telescope Peak. And you don't summit Telescope Peak. I mean, I guess you could if you want to, but we didn't. We just, get to the ridge, and then you continue on with the route by dropping all the way back down to Panamint Valley after that. But yeah, being up on the ridge and leading up to the ridge, it was like waist deep snow, which was really crazy. Mid-April in 2019 in Death Valley. But I guess that year California got a really high snow year, so that explains that.
And I know you live in Colorado now. You're in Boulder.
Yep.
I feel like every time I come across your Instagram, you're doing a different like peak bagging trip of some sort. I feel like you've touched every part of the state already.
Yeah, so I moved out here late 2018, and I've just been trying to explore Colorado as much as I could with the peak bagging and just doing like local hikes around here as well. Hikes out in Rocky Mountain National Park, just like any stuff here locally in the area, a lot of stuff in Lyons because it's less crowded. But then also in 2020, last year, I decided to hike the Colorado Trail because that's like the perfect way to kind of just bring it all full circle and get to go through like all these areas, all these national forests in Colorado, and really just get immersed into it all.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
So
she skis with Elise too. You know that?
Oh, sweet.
Right? I saw pictures of you skiing with Elise, right?
Me and Elise. Oh yeah, and skiing. That's another thing that I've gotten really into recently. So this past winter was the first winter with a ski pass. So I really just like went ham on the skiing and got pretty hooked. So I was actually pretty sad. Not sad, but it was bittersweet to leave Colorado mid-March and hop on the AZT, go to the desert out of all places, because I was really like into my skiing and just like seeing the progression of like coming from just like being a beginner to finally like being able to ski black diamonds and like not feel like I'm gonna die. It was a really good winter. So.
And if the listeners hear us laughing out of place like they just did, it's because Dirty A is talking into a remote control because she's having FOMO of not holding the microphone here in the studio. So it makes us laugh every time without fail, especially when she shows the side with the buttons. It really just reinforces the fact.
I just want to feel included.
Well, thank you for that. Wee's obviously been on the show a handful of times. We'll include those in the show notes. But if you could give us the brief, like the very Cliff's Notesy version of your backpacking resume.
Sure. PCT 2018, and then 2,400 miles, and then finished it with Dirty A in 2019, 250-mile section we did from Snoqualmie to Canada. And then, I mean, we did a backpacking loop, I guess, in Death Valley and in February, like 30 miles, which was kind of the catalyst to getting on the AZT.
Hell yeah.
That's all I
count
got.
30 miles. We count the Trans-Catalina Trail. That's not much more.
Yeah, no, I count everything.
Yeah,
I walked from my car to here. That's I thru-hiked it. I'm pretty sure I said the FK2 while I was at it. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Weeze's first episode, I want to say, on the show was like one of the most highly regarded. So we're definitely including that in the show notes. Go listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's jump right into, you guys are fresh off the boat, right off of the AZT. Talk about that. So you mentioned it already, but what was the inspiration for doing it? You said you guys did some miles in Death Valley. Walk us through Death Valley to the start of the trail.
Yeah, I think we should just give like each side of the story. I mean, she was going to Death Valley, so you just explain that part.
Yeah.
Chime in.
Okay, so basically I had mild plans to actually hike an early season AT this year. And then some series of events happened where that was out of the picture. And so I decided that I had about a month and a half to hike something. So the Arizona Trail like fit the bill perfectly. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go hike the Arizona Trail. I have to go hike something. I was itching to hike something. And because going to Death Valley was just like, oh my God, the desert, I miss the desert. I want to be a desert rat again. That came into play. So I'm like, yeah, definitely the Arizona Trail. So I made up my mind pretty quickly on that and expressed that to Weeze, just kind of threw it out there for her. And then she just, I think towards the end of the trip, or maybe once we got back to Colorado after that trip, was when she voiced to me that she would like to also go on a hike and do something, and asked if she could come along. So that was pretty much it. And then, we had the whole talk about like hiking our own hike and all this stuff and like really kind of laid it out there because I really did. I'm actually really like due for a hike, like a long hike where I'm just solo. I tend to hike with people often and I enjoy it. I like hiking with people more than hiking alone, and I like camping with people, and I really do enjoy that. Not a ton of people, but like a good friend or two. I prefer that. But I am due to hike a long trail by myself, so I thought this was going to be the one. But then when she voiced that she wanted to do a hike and she would like to do this hike with me, I was like, yeah, why not? Like, I also kind of felt like I was forcing this whole like, I got to do this thing solo, but like, and I just listened to that and realized that like it doesn't have to be that way. Like I can hike with my friend and also have that conversation about if we do ever feel like we need to go our separate ways, whether it's like for the remainder of the trail or just for like a few days or a day or two, like we can do that. And it would just be like a conversation and we'll feel it'll be natural and it'll be like normal to want that. But
was that a weird conversation to have, like setting the ground rules for like, if you're not feeling it, let's just like, it's not you, it's me sort of thing?
No, it's
not really. It flowed pretty well.
I gotta say like how I got to trail. So I was having like an existential crisis kind of. Like I was losing my damn mind. I was definitely getting antsy. I had my job. I just wasn't feeling comfortable in my job anymore. It was like time to move on, but I didn't know where to go. Went to Death Valley because she was already going with Carly. Mm-hmm. And so she said I could join. Went out to Death Valley, felt really confident and strong and just felt like a different woman out there. And I was like, I got to go on a hike. So literally she was going to leave at the end of March and like the beginning of March, 2.5 weeks before she was going to leave, I decided I was going to go. So I quit my job and then 2 weeks later left for the trail. So it was a very like quick decision for me and I felt so liberated. But I have to tell you, I wouldn't have gotten out on the Arizona Trail. I wouldn't have probably gotten out on any trail at this time in my life if it weren't for her. I was feeling very like unstable in a way, like just like needed something, needed some support, needed something to grasp onto, needed to feel like myself again, needed to get out of the city for sure. And she's just always, I mean, she finished my hike with me in 2019. She's just been a pal. She's just been a rock for me in certain ways. And she definitely listens to all my crap sometimes. So it was just, no, it was an easy conversation. It was just like, hey, Dirty A, I think I want to come with you. I don't want to like impose on your solo hike. But I need to get out of the city. And like, I think we could do this thing together. Like we've hiked together before, like we've done 250 miles, like we can do this. So no, it was like an easy decision for me and easy for me to just, she's also the planner, the logistics gal. Definitely, yeah. So I just need to show up and just like bring the fun and
and the weed.
We're leaving that in.
Sorry, Weezer's dad.
Yeah. Well,
all
Chance, I
good.
know you guys are all buddies. So do you have any inside baseball questions? I feel like you might have some more targeted questions than.
I mean, I have some that are probably better placed later on in the discussion, but I want, before we move on fully, like, were there any other ground rules that went into it, or was it just the, hey, if we want to split ways, we split ways? Like, what were the base rules going into it besides that, or if there were any?
That was pretty much it. Just if we ever feel the need to just hike our own hike, whether that's camping alone for one night or like camping like a mile away from each other or going into a town before or after the other person. Yeah, just like if we ever wanted to hike our own hike, we could do that. And then like that doesn't mean like forever. We can link up later on. That was pretty much it as far as I guess ground rules.
Did it ever happen?
No,
Okay.
not even close. So actually, to start the trail, Dirty A struggled with her feet. She was having a hard time. It was hot.
Yep.
Your feet were struggling. I think day one was really the hardest day for me, to be honest with you, Dirty A. I think day one was the hardest day, and then after that, I had no bad days. But what's interesting is she was struggling and she could talk about her feet, but it was like in that moment at the beginning where I was just like, and she had already mentioned this, and this was very apparent out there, she does struggle with the heat. Like it gives her, she gets a little anxious with it.
Yep.
I thrive in the heat. Like I think I'm meant for the desert in some way. Like I just felt really good and strong and like just felt like I knew how to take care of my body out there. So when she started struggling, I was like, I gotta be here for her. Like in a way, I got out to the trail. I left the city, felt liberated because of her. So like, I was just like, I'm not leaving her. Like,
Well, that was the ironic thing. Like, right? I wanted to go out there, have this solo, independent hike, and then here I am, and it's like day 2, day 3, and I can't even keep up. Like I'm struggling. My foot is doing all these weird things. All these new pains that like have never happened before. And I actually went out on this hike with the wrong pair of shoes right from the get-go. Like just
What were you using?
I was using my Solomon shoes, which were great on the Colorado Trail. They're like the perfect shoe. No pain at all. Perfect. But on this trail, it was like just terrible. Did not breathe.
What made it different?
They just did not breathe at all. And my feet were just expanding a lot more than they did on the Colorado Trail for some reason. And it was just causing a lot of swelling, a lot of, no blisters, just like a lot of like joint and like planters and Achilles and stuff like that.
It was like a new pain every day. And I was like, what do we do?
And then
I feel like
it
Solomon
wasn't.
shoes are narrow. They're
They
like
are.
narrower than most shoes, and I think because it's like when you wear rings. Like when it's cold out, your rings fit better, and when it's warm out, your fingers swell up a bit.
Exactly.
Because I remember I tried on a pair of Solomons on the PCT, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like it was like squeezing into like a tight little thing, and my feet weren't doing that.
Yeah.
So what did you switch to, out of curiosity?
So then for the basically for the first 160 miles, it was painful, slow walking. And Weiss was there, and I kind of felt bad because I knew I was holding her back. But she's like, no, like, I'm out here to hike with you. So that was really nice of her. we were hiking like 15s or like just over 15, if that, for the first like 10 days straight.
Yeah.
And then...
So, what were the issues with your feet? Like, what was the gambit of issues?
Everything. It was like something new every day, and I was like, oh God.
So the initial issue, and this happened like right on like the morning of day 2, I twisted my foot going downhill, some like random downhill, and tweaked it in a way that like gave me a shooting cramp that was going up and down my ankle, and I've never had that before. I don't know.
It was to the monument, dog.
Oh yeah, and I fell. I literally fell going down to the monument, and just having
just some hill. Don't worry about it. It's not important.
I was a mess. I was truly a mess, and I was in pain, and I just wanted to have a good time, but like it was just not happening. So there were times where I was like really just questioning everything, like even to a point where I was just like questioning my entire thru hiking career.
She questioned her. There was one day, it was this is a funny story too, because I was waiting for you at a gate, classic gate, and Marcus was there, sitting there, and I started kind of bitching. I was like, gosh, it's kind of hard hiking with another person. Like, she's not doing well. Like, I don't know what to do. And then you came rolling up, and you had another kind of pain. And I
remember that one. That was a weird one.
We were gonna go several more miles, but you're like, I just can't. I can't keep going. Can we just find camp? And like, there wasn't great spots, so finally we found a spot. That's where we met our first bike packer.
Mm-hmm.
And I cowboy camped right outside of your tent, and you were just questioning your entire, you were about had it with the hike, and you were questioning your entire thru hiking career. And I remember just like sitting there and being like, oh my God, like, what do we do? Like, what do I do? Like, what do I do here? Like, how do we fix this? Like, do I have to hike this thing by myself? Like, what's happening? And then, I don't know, we just.
This was like mile 50 or even.
So 15 days in.
Yeah, like 15 days in, mile 50. I'm like dying. It was sad. I was depressed. I was like, ugh, like this is horrible.
What thoughts are going through your head?
Thoughts like, wow, these shoes are really tight. Like, I need to do something about this. Like, I need to at least make it to Tucson or like to some city where I can buy different shoes. So I like poked holes in my shoe, like on the sides to expand it. Just like super desperate, trying to figure out different ways.
Did that help?
A little bit, but I also like had toe socks, and like my only hiking pair of socks were toe socks, which expand your feet even more because like each toe is now like divided. So like I think that also didn't help at all. So it was just not a fun time. I was just straight up not having a good time for like the first 10 days.
I want to go into more about the doubting the whole thru hiking career, because I feel like that's things that everyone thinks at some point. If you could speak more to that.
Yeah, so like I've had issues with my feet before. Like on the PCT, I struggled with Achilles tendonitis pretty much the entire trail. There were good days, there were bad days, but like there was always some form of pain like lingering about my Achilles. I mean, I was still doing like big miles and things like that, and it was doable and manageable, but you know, I just always had pain. So, and you know, I haven't really done a really huge, long, significant hike since the PCT. I've done a lot of short hikes. The Colorado Trail is like the longest hike since the PCT, I guess you could say. So on this hike, which is 800 miles, and I like could barely even get to like 50 miles, I was thinking like, maybe you shouldn't be walking for like thousands of miles. Maybe this isn't your thing. Maybe you just like the idea of it, but like maybe it's just your body's trying to like tell you something. Maybe you should like switch your hobby.
Had you ever hit a psychological low like that previously in your career?
I mean, yeah, like whenever I am having issues with feet or whatever, like it does bring me down, but I never like have questioned the entire thing before until this hike. Yeah. And I think maybe it was because Weeze was feeling so good and like nothing ever hurt her. Nothing ever hurt her. So it's just like, oh my God, like what is wrong with me? Like I'm just this like fuck, or I don't even know if we can curse here, but I'm just this like messed up like body. Like what am I doing?
I can empathize with that so fully because on the JMT, Fireball is like literally the epitome of physical fitness. Yeah. And she just is like, she doesn't like need sleep, I don't think either. She might be a vampire. She needs early like bedtime sleep, but she wakes up at like 5 a.m. and just like jumps out of bed.
Gross.
And so like I'd be huffing and puffing up hills and she'd be sending people back to like make sure I wasn't dead. And then like I'd find out she had like time for 7 different yoga sessions on like every peak. Yeah. And I'm just like literally unable to drag my feet further. And she's like chopping up a fish she found while she was swimming. And like just like the amount of stuff she had time for in a day while I'm just there struggling. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
There's definitely something to like hiking with someone else though, because there's always going to be that like, I guess, I don't know the right word for it, but like you're just being compared, I guess, because you're trying to hike this hike together, but someone is on a whole different level physically, and that leads to mentally too, compared to you. So it's just hard. It also didn't help that I didn't really do like, you know, like proper like uphill training or anything. Like I spent the entire winter leading up to like literally the day that I flew out of Colorado, like downhill skiing in like downhill ski boots. And like, that's all I did for the entire winter. So I could have definitely prepared a little bit more physically.
So was the turning point when you got new footwear, I'm guessing?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, for both of us,
oh,
it
gosh.
was a turning point. It was the biggest turning point of the entire
biggest turning point. Yeah, so we, you know, made it to
Maybe
Tucson.
Not the biggest.
I hobbled my way into Tucson, and luckily we had a pretty good setup there. We had a friend of a friend who lives there, and she hosted us she offered to host us for however long we needed to. So we didn't really have a plan. Going into Tucson, like how many days or what really we were going to do as far as zeros or whatever. So we just went in there, and you know, first order of business was to like go into the REI and get me the hell out of those Salomons and get into some nice ultras. And as soon as I put those ultras on, it was like heaven. I knew that it was going to be the thing that I needed. Like just being in them, like sitting there in the store, it just felt amazing right away. So
which model?
The Lone Peaks 5.0.
Got it.
But we also stayed with a friend of a friend. Her name was Morgan, and she was a physical therapist as well. So she took the opportunity to look at Dirty A's feet and confirmed that it wasn't anything serious and that it probably is a shoe issue.
Yeah. Staying with her, having that whole setup in Tucson was really nice. It was really convenient. And then at the end of the day, on that first night that we were in Tucson, I told Weeze, like, I think I want to zero. So we were going to zero the next day for sure. And then I was like, I think I want to zero another day. So like 2 total zeros. And that's when Weeze was like, she just started kind of like freaking out a little.
I went inward. It wasn't freaking out. I was always very calm, I thought.
Yeah, no, calm. But you could.
What does going inward mean? Please elaborate.
So we stayed with Morgan, and she had a pool. And so, and Jarhead was in town. So Jarhead was one of the guys that we met. We met Jarhead in Patagonia, and we can talk about the guys we hiked with.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
But Jarhead was going to hike out that day, but I was going to go get in the pool that first day or whatever. And I was struggling with the 000. I was feeling so good. I was feeling so good. And I just like, I had been running all winter. So I felt good. Like I had a little bit of a base of training in a way. I was eating. I just felt really good in my body. I didn't feel great mentally, but I felt good physically in my body. So I wanted to keep going, you know, and I didn't want a 000. But Jarhead and I went out to the pool, and I just confided in him. I don't know. I just felt I trusted him, so I just dumped it all out on him. I was like, look, this is where I'm at, and this is what my ego is telling me. I gave him, it was like a couple hours.
Yeah.
Like, it was a long time. Like, he listened for a long time. And he was the one that was like, after all of that, he was like, look, this is early on in the trail. You're going to reap the rewards down the trail if you take the 00 now and look at the setup that you have. You have a great setup here. Like, you have a free place to stay. You have access to a physical therapist. You have rest. You have all these things. Like, just trust it and just stick with your friend, because I think it's going to pay off. And he got me kind of pumped, you know? He just, like, the way we talked about it, he got me pumped. And I was like, you're right. Like, I want to do this with my friend. Because at that point, we had been having fun still. Like, we started to have fun, I should say. But
Yeah.
we were struggling, but we were laughing every day.
Were you having fun? I know it's very difficult to have fun when you're in pain. Like, it weighs
Were
on
you
you all
having
the
fun?
time.
I mean, yeah, because I always have fun on the trail. Like, I could be borderline dying and I'm still just going to prefer being on trail as opposed to, like, you know, back in the real world. And that's just the reality of it. Yeah.
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 So I went back in the house and I was amped, I was pumped, and I was like, Dirty A, we're double zeroing.
Yep.
She
Yeah, so that was nice. And the thing is like, I told her, I was like, you know, I think that I want a 00, and that doesn't mean that you have to. Like, I can catch you later on, but I feel that I need this. I already feel that I'm feeling better. I already know that the shoes are working. This is great. But just to be sure, just to be safe, because I knew how early on the trail this was. So I'm like, if I take that 00, it's only going to just solidify, like, the goodness that I'm already feeling. So I told her, you can go on if you want to. And that would have been, you know, back to the conversation that we had before the trail. But then when she had that conversation with Jarhead, she was made up her mind that it was fine to 00. So great. Good to keep hiking together.
Yeah. So I want to back up a little bit, because you talked about that you don't do well in heat. And I've heard everything about the Arizona Trail. Like, I know that you get a huge diversity of all things.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through the typical day. And I'm assuming that there is no such thing, but kind of what the temperature ranges were, at least for this first stretch where your feet were suffering.
Have you guys, both of you, ever been in Arizona before?
I've been in it.
Yeah, I've driven through the state, have not hiked the AZT, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, so Arizona is very diverse. And actually, those first 160 miles leading up to Tucson, I think were some of the hardest from a heat standpoint, from a terrain standpoint, from an elevation gain and loss standpoint.
Water sources.
Water sources, yeah. But I mean, that was the theme for the rest of the trail the whole way.
Journey of water.
Yeah, so like, yeah, in that stretch, we went through Saguaro National Park, which we did have a bit of an incident there where it did get pretty sketch, pretty dire regarding water and just the heat. It was going through a heat wave. So that area of Arizona was going through a heat wave where it was reading, like, I think low 90s and like, but felt like 100s. And we were like right there in the thick of Saguaro National Park, right before you climb up to Mount Mica, or Mica Mountain, I should say. And maybe Weez could tell the story better. No shade.
There's no shade. Long water carries.
Yeah. So
How long was the water carry?
I mean, it's not that long. But
tell the story of the one part. The
one part with the bike rider.
Yeah, and like we had to like help camp.
Yes. So so it was like a 15-mile water carry, but like so Dirty A is a weight snob. I'm a water snob.
Oh yeah.
This is what we learned on trail. And then
to clarify, that means UL, and do you like to drink a lot?
So it means weight snob means she doesn't like to carry anything.
Yeah.
Even water.
She's including water. Uh-huh. And then I became very picky with my water sources out there. There were some borderline water sources, so I would carry more water, or I would just like drink less water sometimes, because I didn't want to choose to go to a certain water source. It would either smell bad or look bad or all sorts. And she didn't care. She just didn't want to carry it, so she'd carry enough that's just enough. So
drinking stinky water is a real demoralizing
it
experience.
is.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant. I mean, I stopped.
That's why you need like an electrolyte powder or something to like distract you from how awful.
Mio.
Yeah.
Truly. we did it. We carried that. But we had a 15-mile water carry, and it was a really hot day. And yeah, we hit it at the dead of the heat, the hot part of the day, and it was a weekend, so there was a lot of mountain bikers. There's not a lot of shade. It was hot, but I felt okay. I felt like I could do it. We each carried 3 liters of water. Probably should have been.
So we were at this point. We were like at the tail end of this huge 15-mile long stretch, and we were at the very end of it. So we just needed about like 3 or 4 miles until we get to these pools where. These pools that on gut hooks, it was like, there's no water here, but then potentially maybe there's like a little bit of scoopable water, but like disgusting and like
with moss and just like not a lot of
just like lots of floaters, lots of things living in this like water pool, puddle or whatever. Yeah. So we were almost to that, but then it was also
really.
Like it was a gamble. It was a gamble as to there would even be water there. So, and if there wasn't any water there, then we would start the climb up to Micah Mountain. And then the first water on that climb was like 6 miles up the mountain. And
but
that's
it was
like,
a flowing source.
Yeah.
But that was a for sure. Yeah, that was a for sure source and camp. That would have been camp for the night. So we are like maybe 2 to 3 miles away from these puddles where we don't know if there's actually water there. And we are down to maybe like, I want to say like a liter and a half for you. But for me, it was like maybe a half to 3/4 of a liter.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 p.m. It's 95 degrees in Saguaro, but feels like more. You know, we're all covered as much as we could. I was in the front and she was just behind me. I was like starting to like spiral because for me, it's like a mental thing. When that heat is coming down and it's like, it feels like I can't escape it anywhere. And at this stretch of the trail where you're in the park, you really can't escape it. There's no like shade anywhere. Just a bunch of like cholla bush and like saguaro trees. And maybe you can hide in like the shade of the saguaro, but like not even.
Yeah.
And then this bike lady. So this biker lady, and I guess she's like day biking. Out of nowhere, just like rolls up behind us, and then she rolls up her bike around us, and then stops us right in front of the trail, and just like parks her bike like that.
She's in panic mode.
She's in full panic mode, and she just has like a little like ladder pack, and she's like, "Oh my god, I am so sorry to do this to you guys." She has no idea that we're through hiking. She's like, "I'm so sorry to do this to you guys. Oh my god, do you guys have anything that I could drink that's cold?"
Yeah. I was like,
she's like, "My water, I have water, but it's she's like, "I have water, but it's so hot." And my blood pressure, like, she's like, "I'm feeling very faint. Like, I don't have anything to eat. Do you have any sugar or anything? Like, I really think I'm going to pass out here. Like, I'm not going to make it to my car." And her car was maybe like 2.5 miles away.
That's what she said. Yes.
Or something. Meanwhile, I'm in this panic mode and I'm trying to breathe through it and like, just not think about the reality of the situation, which is like this unbearable heat. And this lady comes up, she's freaking out, she's about to pass out in front of us. And then I kind of just like immediately just go into like survival mode trying to help this lady, and so does Weeze. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, we have some candy, we have some Sour Patch Kids. Like, our water is really nasty and warm, and like we don't have much of it, and we're through hiking and we're like trying to bake on these puddles. They're like too
gushers.
We were trying to explain to her like we don't have water, and we definitely don't have cold water.
We don't have a lot of water to even offer. I mean, of course I'll offer it. And I was like, it's warm. But I gave her gushers, and I've never seen someone more excited to eat a package of gushers. And that was about all we could do. Like we were in mild. I mean, I felt okay. Like, but I was worried about you. I really was, and I was worried about our situation with the puddles. But like at the same time, like this happening to us at this time, and she's already spiraling. It's kind of like a wake-up call. Like, okay, we're in this heat, and it's serious.
It's dangerous. Yeah, people.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then after
when we hunkered down.
After we like saved this lady with
gushers.
Yeah. She went off, and then we hiked maybe like another a few more steps, and then we came across this like huge water tank on the left, but it was like a dry tank, so no water there, but just like a large structure where like there was shade that you can like sit up against. So that was really nice. And then we just made like the joint decision to sit out the rest of the afternoon, like, you know, sheltered.
Hold off.
Yeah, let it cool down
Like
and sheltered behind this tank. And then we would do the other couple miles to the possible puddles, like at 5 o'clock. And then from there, get to camp at nighttime, like full blown nighttime. And so we did that.
Yeah, we hiked to I think like 11:30 that night. We night hiked, with Jar.
Yeah.
A few thoughts from that story. One is Gushers. What a great trail snack. I don't think I've ever bought Gushers on trail.
Oh my god,
They all
How have I
stick
never
together,
thought of
and you
that?
can eat them in one giant clump, like just like one bite.
yes. Or individually, they just like pop in your mouth.
Yeah.
The juice.
It's
I don't think I've had a
great.
Gusher in like 28 years.
Oh my god,
because-
please go get some. You'll love them.
The other thing is just like the small things that you come to appreciate while through hiking. Like you guys were so grateful to have an empty tank
Yes.
just to cast a little bit of shade.
Truly. And it said Hope Camp on it.
Yeah.
So it was like, there's hope. There's hope.
Yeah. And then we just like, we napped it out. We did some yoga. We did some breathing. We hung out with the ants because there's like a ton of ants on this entire
That's when it
trail.
began.
And then we waited it out and then hiked in the evening.
So were the puddles, did that?
Oh.
Yeah. So around 5:30, 5 o'clock, we started making our way to the puddles, and that's where our friend, who at this point he was kind of like our new friend.
Yes.
And he was there waiting it out as well. And he had already collected a bunch of water, and so he had extra water from these puddles because he had like hours there that he was just hanging out by himself collect water.
He had cell service and we had cell service, and he had texted me and checked in because he remember he saw us at that one spot when we were suffering for lunch.
Yeah.
Terrible shade there.
Yeah.
And so he checked in to see if we were okay, and we're like, yeah, we found some shade. We'll probably hike out later. And he's like, okay, I'll wait for you here.
Yeah.
And so we got there, and he had extra water, and that was the moment I would say that we realized that Jarhead was like
We didn't
the
deserve
character
him.
we didn't deserve. He was just so good to us the entire trail. Just like
He was always saving our asses.
saving our asses in little ways, mostly with water, I would say, but other ways too. And then he started building fires and all the things. But
Yeah, so we made it that night. It was great. But I mean, that climb up to Micah Mountain, even at night, it's just, relentless. Just like,
Yeah,
it's
it was
rough out there. It's not the PCT. We're not in the PCT anymore. It's
Yeah,
gnarly.
so I'm curious. Compare the two because I'm
It's
super curious about the difficulty.
steep,
just
dry,
straight up,
rocky,
straight up, straight down, rocks everywhere. It's
hot, relentless.
it's not bad as far as like navigation goes. Like you know where
Yeah.
the trail is, but it is not a clean, smooth out like
right.
bit of trail like the PCT at all.
Yeah. And that weather that you were getting, was that a hot spell or was that pretty
Yeah.
typical for that stretch?
We were told by many people, including locals, that fire chief that took us out of Sonoyta, that
It
we were
was
hitting a
it was a hot spell for that time of the year in that area.
yeah.
And when did you guys start?
March 26th.
Okay. And how does that compare to the average northbound hiker?
I think we were right around the right time. Maybe people start a little bit earlier. I'm not sure, but I think we hit it.
This
Right
year,
on.
this year, a lot of people started early, and actually, a lot of them either like flip-flopped or just got off trail altogether because of the snow that they hit farther up north.
Now, was that snow unseasonable or was that just because people are starting too early?
I think maybe both.
Maybe a little bit of both. I think that it's just too early, like to hike anything in February, like late February is very early.
Yeah.
I would
see
never.
the same thing happening
I would
in AT
never.
every year. People starting earlier and earlier and realizing that like southern Appalachias suck
Yeah.
I was going to start the beginning of February, and Zach was just kindly like, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you really should not do that.
When
And
did you
Oh.
start?
March 4th. I pushed back 1 month, and I was absolutely fucking freezing the whole time.
Oh, and that doesn't even sound that early to me, but I guess. Yeah.
No, I was like, oh, I'm going to be waiting so long. Georgia, summer, sun, beaches, what? And then it started snowing when I got to the approach trail, and I was like, oh, Zach wasn't lying when he said it'd be really cold.
Yeah, and that's like wet,
Yeah.
cold.
I was like wearing a buff around my nose because my nose was too cold to walk. I was making great timing. I started off with 20s because it was just like, you can't stop. You can't sit. You can't.
Yeah, you
You
gotta
can't
keep
even sit
moving to
eat.
stay
Like,
warm.
You can't not move
Yeah.
unless you're in your sleeping bag.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no,
Ick.
the cold sucks.
I don't
Yeah.
do cold or rain very well, and so I don't think I'll ever hike the Appalachian Trail.
If you don't like those two,
that.
if you don't like those two things, then that's probably a
That's
good
what
trail
I
to
said.
avoid. Okay,
But-
so I want to go. I want to touch on both like the different elements of the AZT and chronologically your journey. I guess I'm more interested in the latter, but I want to learn about the
Yeah.
former through the journey. So, I guess walk us through the next phase of the trail. So you get over this difficult stretch. Is this while you're struggling, or this is after your 0-0?
While I'm struggling. And
Yeah,
actually,
that was-
this night, even though it was nighttime and, cooler, getting to camp halfway up Micah Mountain was like really, really hard. My feet were in a lot of pain that night, like the last 3 miles to camp. I was like, you guys, like my feet are going to explode. Like it felt so bad, like this like bone on bone feeling. I'm like, this is crazy. Like I was just blacking it out. I pretty much blacked out that whole night. And then the next day we finished the climb to the very top of Micah Mountain, and that was nice because we hit some pine trees, pine forests, and that was really nice.
Cool weather up there.
Cool weather and really nice for my
That's
feet.
where we needed to be the whole time.
And then right after we got to the top, it goes straight down, and it's relentless, just straight down. Like a lot, like it is not uncommon for the grade on the AZT, like along any given stretch where you're climbing or dropping, for it to be like above 10% grade.
Damn.
Like it is,
Yeah,
and that's
Aggressive.
normal.
Like
yeah,
that.
often.
I don't like
Yeah,
that.
that's tough.
Often.
So people bike this?
Yeah, it's a gnarly trail to bike. It's gnarly,
How do
man.
you bike
Yeah.
We
that?
saw lots of people pushing their bikes at times.
Okay,
for
that
sure.
makes me feel
So
better.
I'm
combine.
even amazed that people can do the CT on a bike, and I know that's probably way easier than the AZT.
My jaw has touched the floor on several occasions when I've seen people on their bikes on the CT just
Oh,
going
yeah.
up things that I'm like using my hands to help myself pull my legs
Yeah.
up, and they're just like doo on
Yeah.
their bike, squeaking their little horn, and I'm like, okay, hate you.
Yeah,
I feel like
let alone
nothing's too extreme
unicycling.
here in Colorado.
Oh yeah,
That's
or
true.
unicycling. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
distracting.
Okay,
us.
yeah.
Okay.
Stop it.
So
Stop it.
straight down the mountain, terrible day. Are we getting about to the point where you got your new footwear and recharged with a couple
Yep.
zeros?
Yeah, so right after the drop down Micah Mountain, which was awful, just like, the highest percent grade you can think of, combined with just like washed out and like loose rock all over the trail, like super rough. We got to camp that night, and then the next day, so we got into Tucson, to the intersection, the highway where you would hitch into Tucson, and that's where I get the shoes.
This is, I'm sure, an unfair question, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Make you answer. Let's say you're averaging 20s through the desert on the PCT. What does that translate to, at least through this first stretch on the AZT?
For us, or just generally speaking?
Somebody with the same fitness, like you drop that same person who's doing 20 miles per day on the PCT. How many miles per day do you think they accomplish on the AZT?
I mean, water manipulates it, I think, or dictates it, I should say.
If you're doing like
And the heat.
low to mid 20s on the PCT, and it's like that's a solid day for you on the PCT. On the AZT, you're probably doing like high teens to low 20s, and that feels like a solid day. Like, but then again, it all depends, right? Like, but yeah, I guess we're doing just like generic, like
Yeah.
all across.
I guess that answers my question.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you guys get to Tucson, new shoes, feeling better. Are you feeling confident after the point that you get the new shoes, or does it take a couple days to actually like?
It's always like up in the air, right? I mean, I'm telling myself this is perfect. This is all I needed. Like this is gonna be great. But then there's always that other part of you that's like, what if like the Achilles thing starts happening again? Because on the PCT, what started my Achilles problem was hiking in ultras. But there's another component to that, and that's hiking in ultras on the PCT without easing into this like ultra shoe, which is like a 0 drop minimal shoe. So I knew that was probably the main reason why I had these like chronic Achilles tendonitis.
But also, how long would you wear your shoes for, dog?
Oh, and then also I overhiked with shoes on the PCT for like 1,000 miles each time.
1,000 miles?
Yeah. So there's like lots of stuff happening with why I probably had Achilles tendonitis on the PCT that wasn't just having like a 0 drop shoe. So I was taking all of this into account. And then that's why I'm like, okay, no, we're starting fresh. I know it's ultras again, but we're starting fresh. We're giving ultras a second shot. We're putting all the good vibes into it. And Weezer was helping me out with this too. And we were, walking ourselves through it out loud. And we're like,
good vibes.
Always good vibes. This is going to work out. So leaving Tucson with the new shoes, I was very hopeful. And yeah, like just wearing them around town. And then like that first morning out when we got dropped off on trail that morning, like everything felt great. And we were still going to ease ourselves into it like that first day.
We got that fear monger into Mount Lemon.
Yeah, so our next challenge, like leaving Tucson and going back on trail, was to climb up and down Mount Lemon. So this is the next, like, I guess, big like Sky Island climb of the Arizona Trail. So the first mountain range, like Miller Peak area right out of the border, and then it's Mica Mountain, and now it's Mount Lemon. And then we were told by our friend Jarhead that like, oh my God, this is the roughest climb. Like, so we're like, oh great, like, okay, here comes another Mica Mountain. Hard to navigate too, which that's a new component, because Mica was like, it was okay to navigate it. So we're like, okay, so we gave ourselves a lot of time. We set up for this climb so that we didn't do it all in one day. We like camped halfway up the mountain again and did the rest of the climb the next day. And it actually turned out to be quite enjoyable.
Yeah. So yeah, Mount Lemon, there was some fear mongering on Gut Hook. Someone was like, you might as well be a mountain goat to climb this one. And then Jarhead was like, he said big wow. Yeah. There was like some exposure, but also there is some spots to navigate, but it's a little bouldery in a way. But if you know Dirty A, and like if you know what hikes I've done with Dirty A, this is like something we both enjoy hiking. This is a nice change of pace that we both like needed. And yeah, you have to pay attention to the Karens. Like, and we had fun with it. We're like, oh hey Karen, nice to see you again.
No, it was
leading the way, like
it was nice.
Great. And we got to the top of that, and I felt like we hit a high point. Like for us, it was like, let's do this. And I decided that I didn't need inserts. So I left Tucson with the new shoes, along with a pair of new inserts on the new shoes. And I was trying that out because the whole Achilles pain, right? Like you need support. So I'm trying out these inserts, but it turns out they just didn't work for me. So I got rid of those pretty quickly and decided that just the ultra inserts with like the normal inserts with the shoe are just fine. And that turned out to be perfect. I was also using a lot of KT tape on this first like stretch leaving Tucson.
Yeah.
I weaned off of it though, like halfway through and then up to the finish.
Why is that funny?
I hate to make things too gear focused, but I've heard kind of mixed things about the 5s, more so bad things about the 4.5s and mixed things about the 5s. The consistent theme between the two has been heel rub. Did you not have that issue at all with the 5.0s?
No. The 5.0 was literally like just the most perfect shoe for me ever. Like,
interesting.
Because I was having like this weird like Achilles bump rubbing. That was another one of the mysterious pains with the Solomons. And I was afraid that was going to go on because it's already it was like established already. But the Ultra, like didn't further irritate that. It dissipated that. So yeah, no heel rubbing.
Just so you know, I had been hiking in the 3.5s, and I found a pair of 3.5s prior to the AZT on eBay. So I started the AZT on the 3.5s.
You've been pretty religious about the 3.5s for the past couple of years.
I was freaking out. I was like, I'm gonna need new shoes. I'm not hiking the entire trail in these 3.5s. Like, I think that's stupid. Sorry. And so I had to switch to the 5s in Flagstaff, and I was nervous. I was not excited about it, and I had no issues, none whatsoever.
Good.
Perfect translation. I'm like a firm believer in don't fix what's not broken. And so I was, they don't make the 3.5s anymore, but the 5s were great. They treated us both really, really well.
Yeah. And it is annoying that Ultra keeps making changes to the shoe because I love the 2.0s. Like I honestly hadn't had issues until I think the 4.5s, and then it's just like I'm starting from scratch again. Like once you find footwear that works for you, you grab it tight, you buy 1,000 pairs of it that we don't ever have to think about it again because what you went through with the foot pain can really ruin the entire experience.
Yeah.
I
agree. But I think I found my shoe. So maybe I should go and buy a million.
Exactly. Well, wait till they announce the 5.5s and then the 5s will go on sale and buy the rest of them.
It's like an iPhone.
Exactly.
Yeah, I might stick with the 5s now for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mount Lemon, we've done that. Then what happens?
What happens? Summer Haven.
And then
we're just cruising.
I'm just getting like slowly but surely just like these little reassurances that like it's gonna be okay. I think like these shoes are working with the KT tape combined. Like I'm making it work, and then we start pushing a little bit longer miles, and it starts to feel like sustainable, and it starts to feel like okay, this is like happening. This is a real thing. And then just starting to kind of accept the trail for what it is, for how it is. And that's when I think all the magic started happening, and it was starting to become like really beautiful for the both of us.
Is it consistently difficult? Is the difficulty broken into sections, or is it just like start to finish you're pretty much going to get your ass kicked the entire way?
No. There's a Ponderosa Pine treadmill.
Yeah. So
it has its own challenges.
I think I think the hardest, like from like a technical standpoint, was at that very beginning, like the first miles into Tucson, and then just after with Mount Lemon. But then you kind of just dip down and stay lower, crossing like the Sonoran Desert. But it does become difficult in the sense that it does become kind of like this wasteland of nothingness. So you're going through Oracle, or just outside of Oracle, and you're crossing through this like just vast wasteland of nothing. And it's just a lot of like 4x4, just these dirt roads and a lot of ranches and just farms and a lot of cow country. And it's just ugly. Not a lot happening.
It's not ugly. It's beautiful.
Well, yes. So like then you become kind of one with that, but
one with the cows.
Objectively,
Definitely.
it's not like it's not the most scenic stretch of any trail that I've been in.
Yeah.
And the water sources, this is where like I think there were some of the worst water sources between Oracle and like Superior, I would say, where it's just like they're called these wildlife tanks, and I'm not really sure what that means still. But it's like these like troughs that are built into the ground, and the water just kind of collects. And it's just...
But they're closed off. They're all fenced off.
Mm-hmm. So it's not like actually for the wildlife?
I don't know. That's what I didn't
That's
understand.
what's so confusing. That's what is so confusing about it.
Fences.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Huh.
I think I asked even like toward the end. I asked Jarhead. He was supposed to know
and
all the answers.
And there's all sorts of things on these water trapments. But actually probably the worst water was probably like when we came up on this, it was a cow tank, and there was literally a dead cow next to the tank, like fully dead. and gutted everything, and then you're drinking the water that's there, and then you have cows coming to the tank and drinking with you, and then you're just, you get your water, and then you realize that like, oh wow, you're hungry, so you just kind of sit down next to the tank, and then you have lunch there with everything that's happening. And that's
beef jerky.
And then it just hits you. It's like, this is the Arizona Trail.
Wraps. Yep.
Do the other cows seem fazed by the dead cow, or are they just like, nah, another
It had been
little
there.
landmark?
It had to have been there a while. That dead cow
weird.
that was gutted. Yeah, it was very strange.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, if Jabba's corpse was over there, we're just doing a podcast, like, no big deal.
Oh, that's just Jabba. He's half composed.
Yeah, sorry about the smell.
Yeah, it's
Weird.
So, water snob, that was you, right?
Yeah.
Is it feasible to do the entire trail doing water that is to your caliber, or are you going to have to bite the bullet sometimes?
I definitely bit the bullet sometimes, for sure. But you probably can if you're willing to carry more. I honestly did not want to carry more than 3 liters at a time. I started to develop a pretty bad shoulder pain, actually. But I just pushed through it. There wasn't a whole lot I could do. But
3 liters is a lot less than I was expecting.
Yeah.
we definitely.
Well, we definitely like combined. We just did not carry a lot of water compared to everyone else on there.
However, let's put this in here. Like, everybody knows their body, right? And I'm pretty sure I can function off 1 liter per 5 miles. And the desert is almost no different for me.
Damn.
I do okay out there.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know.
Are you peeing like Gatorade Orange, or
She's probably
No,
not peeing.
I am
You're peeing good. Yeah.
We're peeing well.
Actually,
Peeing
you're peeing too much
Eat well out
sometimes.
there.
But you'd camel up at a source. You drink.
Yeah.
I mean, you would do that. But like, yeah, I just 3 liters.
so you just don't sweat a lot?
I sweat.
You glisten.
Yeah,
I
and then
glisten, I glow.
that's when we had to like up on our electrolytes too. At one point, we realized, okay, we need to up our electrolytes.
Salt tabs. We took a lot of
Salt
tabs
tabs,
too.
a lot of
Like,
salt tabs.
But I mean, this is kind of when we also just like realized that Jarhead was the character we didn't deserve. I mean, sometimes if we were in a pinch, Jarhead had the water.
So give us a quick intro on Jarhead, since he's come up a couple of times.
Sure. We met Jarhead in Patagonia. So that's mile 51. That's the first trail town. You literally walk right through
Is
it.
a trail town called Patagonia?
Yeah.
When you said that earlier, I assumed either the store or maybe like you were thinking of...
Sure, right.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't
no,
think of that. I'm
Yeah.
like thinking of like I don't know how you think of that. Yeah,
The
it's
trail
town. The
Okay.
first town.
Interesting.
Yep, mile
Cute
51.
little town.
So
Great.
cute. It's got a health food store, so everyone.
Is there a Patagonia there?
No.
No.
Right,
I
I'd
don't think
ask.
so. No. But Jarhead started the day after us and hiked to Patagonia. He walked right up to us. She was not well. We were packing up at the park our food and going to get ready to head back out on trail.
Yeah, because we weren't staying in
he-
town. We just dipped in and out.
Yeah. We did that a couple times. We did pretty well with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had just gotten into town, walked in, saw us, and he was so happy to see us. He's like, "Hey, are you 2 through hikers?" And I was like, "Yeah." And like Dirty A was not nice to him.
Well, I wasn't social.
You weren't social.
I wasn't
You were
mean.
No, you weren't mean.
But
But he
later on,
did-
Flipping the bird, I spit in his face.
Don't
My feet hurt.
later on,
he
he
did say-
did confess that I did came off. That he thought I was a bitch.
Your feet hurt. It happens.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and he was.
But we talked about it.
He hiked the Colorado Trail. So then he was like the main person that was always kind of around from that point on. But then so was Marcus or Jughead.
So we met.
Jarhead and Jughead.
Yeah. Okay. So
Are
so
these two
But
hiking
that's a
together?
story. That's
Has
So-
Jughead come into the picture yet, or are we not there yet?
Not yet.
we met. Yeah, I mean, we met Jughead mile 1. We met.
Ah.
He was the first hiker we met. He was coming back from the monument as we were heading down, and he was carrying a jug.
But that was kind of it. Like, and he was Marcus at the time. He wasn't anything yet.
Yeah,
he was just
it
Marcus.
was his first.
He was just, the guy we met, coming up from the border, and we just said a few words, but like nothing much. And then
we saw him that day. for
yeah,
sure.
we saw him like getting water, and then I think he was camping next to us technically, but like we never really actually
We
saw
got there
him.
late.
We got
Yeah.
there late. But we didn't actually like start to really. connect.
But we invaded his breakfast in
Yeah.
Patagonia.
Yeah, so
Remember?
I guess we did see
just,
him
like,
briefly.
Yeah.
But we could tell
both
that
of them.
he liked to keep to himself, though. That was like
Yes.
the overall vibe. And he didn't really break out of that shell until way later on in the trail, once we like officially became a trail fam. But when we met Jarhead at mile 15, he was like so nice and just wanted to like hang out.
Yeah.
And I was not having it. I barely spoke to the guy, and Weez was more nice than me. And then that was it with Jarhead too. And then I guess later on when we were dying, going up Micah Mountain, is when we really like started to bond more with Jarhead, I think.
Yeah.
And then from then until we became more of like an official
Well,
trail
don't forget
fam.
Colossal Cave.
Oh
At
yeah.
Colossal Cave.
Oh yeah, Colossal Cave.
That's when I was not nice.
Oh yeah. Colossal
So we
Cave
got to,
was before Micah Mountain, technically.
that was
yeah.
our biggest mile day. 22 miles, really hot. We were not well. Both of us were wrecked at the end
I
of
was
the day.
so messed up.
Jarhead was there. Colossal Cave is like right outside Saguaro, so it's the start of that other hot day.
Yeah.
And we wanted
Do you remember how hot it was?
Yeah, it was low 90s
Low
or
90s.
upper 80s.
Felt like hell.
Yeah. And we wanted pizza. And I wanted pizza, and I was relentless to get pizza, and it was a whole thing. No one wanted to deliver there. The road was kind of closed to get to us. I couldn't stop. I wanted pizza. So Jarhead made it known that that was his first experience of me not being very nice. And
Yeah.
probably the only experience, you and me, of not being nice the rest of the trail.
But
So
to
your
be
not nice spell was just you being hangry for a half day?
Exactly.
well,
we got the pizza.
Not to
We got
us.
it.
She was not.
No,
she
just-
wasn't not nice to us. She was not nice to the person that we were ordering
phone.
pizza from. But to be fair, they were just not helpful at all, and they were messing
Yeah.
up everything. They were messing up
Okay.
our entire plan.
But we
We're
got
gonna do
it.
something. We're gonna do something new. We're gonna do a little role playing right now.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm the pizza person. I'm the pizza guy. You're calling and ordering,
Yeah.
and you're gonna do a reenactment.
Okay.
Okay. So what can bring? Hello, so and so pizza.
Hi. So I'm a AZT thru-hiker, and I'm wondering if you'll deliver this pizza to Colossal Cave. I don't have an address for you, but I can drop you a pin and just
Do you have a
tell you
smartphone?
exactly where I'm at.
Yeah.
Do you
I'm
have a
sorry, ma'am.
smartphone?
We don't do that. I think the road is closed probably.
Okay, well, if you can just I'll drop you a pin, and if you just tell me where you're gonna be and when you're gonna be, I can come meet you. Just like, I want this pizza. We are AZT thru hikers. We need this pizza. We just hiked 22 miles today. It's really hot. Like, can you please bring us
Yeah, ma'am. I'm
pizza?
pretty sure we don't do that.
Okay, fine. I'll try somebody else. You're not gonna have my business then.
So how much did that veer from the actual conversation? Like, is that pretty much how it played out?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but then we
I think
did
If that's
end
you
up.
being
close.
angry, then that's just like my normal state, I think. So you're the nicest person
I was
on
just
the
being
planet.
very persistent.
Yeah.
But eventually we got it. We figured
got
it out.
and
Yeah.
Jarhead left him a huge tip. It's, again, the guy we did not deserve. He's just like coming in clutch. We each had like one piece. We got two pizzas. We had one piece, and we were done.
Oh,
Weak.
yeah. So needless to say, you hadn't developed your hiker hunger yet.
It just, yeah.
Then we had to
Well,
pack
we
a
packed
couple
it out.
out. And that was really
Yeah.
nice actually. But yeah, so like so Jarhead was kind of in and out like in our trail
Like, did
experience
his
from
own
the
thing,
beginning.
but was always around.
He was
Like,
always
and-
around. And then it wasn't until I would say like Roosevelt Lake or before Roosevelt Lake, basically around halfway through. Let's just say
Yeah.
halfway through was when we really like kind of started hiking more together and like making
But even if we
decisions
wouldn't
together, camping
see
together.
him.
that
It wasn't
kind
until
of stuff.
Pine that the whole family stuck together the
Yeah.
rest of the way.
So not
even
till
before-
Pine.
Yeah. But before that, we would see Jarhead throughout, and then sometimes we were on our own thing, our own, we had,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like dumb when it comes to the names of these places. I'm like, cool names. I have no idea
gosh,
where they
yeah.
are in relation.
Yeah.
So if we're now by the dead cow, what happens after the
Bungee.
dead cow?
That was
So-
with Bungie.
Oh, so yeah, after the dead cow, the town after that is Kearney, which is actually where our good friends
Yes.
Carly and Izzy Sahorian met us. So they met us out in Kearney, the middle of nowhere, and went on to hike the next couple of days with us until the next town where they would go off.
And we did an alternate there. We
And
did
we-
the Grand Enchantment Trail alternate instead of the AZT. And it was the old AZT basically, but they changed it so that it was more friendly to bike packers.
Yeah.
Um,
I heard Zahorian. Is that
Izzy, yeah.
Izzy, that's John's sister.
okay?
Yeah.
That's why the last name sounded familiar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then Carly,
So-
you know Carly.
Carly Moray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I didn't know she was in Arizona.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
came down to meet us.
That's
So
awesome.
she's-
Carly and
our
Izzy,
pal.
Carly and Izzy are really good friends. I'd never met Izzy personally, and neither had we. So that was our
No.
first time for both of us meeting Izzy, and she's so freaking cool.
She's incredible.
The
She's
nicest-
It's a
incredible.
small world. It's a very small hiker world.
It really
Yeah,
is.
very.
So we called it
That's
Babe
cool.
Trip.
We called it
That
Babe
was-
Trip. This little
Oh, and
section.
that's when Jarhead really shined. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
so the babes take off from Kearney.
Yeah, the babes take off from Kearney. It's
The four of
you know,
us.
girl
We're about to take
power.
on-
We're about to
Yep.
take on the AZT, except
No,
the
the-
GET, the GET
GET.
alternate.
Babe Trip on GET.
But
GET?
but right
Grand Enchantment Trail.
Okay.
But right
But we get-
before, right before we hop onto the actual GET, like we get off the AZT and we get on the GET, we found Jarhead on the side of the Gila River
By
and
a,
he's
water,
just-
by a water source.
by a water source, just having a siesta,
like he did.
like he did a
the
lot.
entire trail.
And we tell him about our plans. Hey, we're about to get off the trail and hop on the GET. Do you want to join? This is Babe Trip. This is like Babe Squad. So it'll
I
be
don't
like,
think we ever said, "Do you want to join?"
really.
I
Then how
I
did
don't
he
think
join?
so. I think we told him, we're like, "Hey, we're doing this."
Oh, and then he just
and
kind
he's
of
like, "Oh, okay." And then he kind of joined. I was like, "Oh, are you gonna join?" And he's like,
Oh, okay.
"Yeah, I think so." And I'm like,
Cool.
"Yeah, you're gonna join. It's Babe Trip plus Jarhead."
Yeah, he's not a dummy.
And it was, I think that
needless
was the
to
turning.
say, it was an awesome time.
I
was
think
great.
that was the turning point of where all the magic really truly began,
Mm-hmm.
and you and I just began to like shine. Like
So
just.
How
feel
far
good.
into the hike are we at this point?
That's like Kearney's like
Ooh.
mile 260.
Oh man, we're only
So
a
we're
quarter,
a quarter
in.
of the way.
No, I think this is at this point it's like mile 3 something. From what I
I got
remember.
I got it.
Gotta pull
And
up gut
I guess-
hooks.
Yeah,
got hooks
more
too.
broadly, can you speak to the social culture on the AZT? Like, how many other thru hikers are you encountering?
Not many. Not many at all. We didn't see another. There weren't many females. I'll tell you that right now. We didn't see.
Aside from Babe Squad?
Yeah, exactly.
I
And
think
they
you're
just came
right.
for a section. What
I
is
think-
it? 260?
It's like 2 something, yeah.
270? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, a quarter of the way in. Not a ton. Like, there was a good span of the AZT where we felt we were like just in our own bubble. It was really just us and then Jarhead, Jughead, and then we met a couple other guys, Bungee and Bear Magnet. But we just felt like we were pretty isolated. In our own
Yeah, that's very true. It did feel like we
bubble.
were
Like it didn't.
like it was just
seem
us
like
out there.
we didn't see a lot of others. I mean,
Yeah.
there were others, yes, and there was obviously plenty more in front of us and behind us, but there's a lot of solitude. It felt like.
Does the AZTA keep numbers on the number of hikers?
Yeah.
Do you know how many northbound finishers or attempters there were?
I haven't
No,
looked
this
into
year?
that. I haven't
Okay.
looked into
No.
it, but I will after this.
They.
Do you know what a normal year is?
Um,
I should know this. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't, but
I know there's rattlesnakes.
but I do know that this is a higher than average year
Yeah,
Yeah.
from
Everyone's
usage.
very trail horny.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Everyone's just
Everyone's all
antsy to get
vaccinated
out.
up.
It felt like last year was a Colorado trail. Everyone was on the Colorado trail, and this year it felt like everyone was on the Arizona trail.
Yeah.
I
Well,
feel like
last
a
year
lot
the
of people
Colorado
love
Trail was like
Colorado.
one of the few trails that you could hike
Yeah.
logistically. I mean, without pissing everyone off.
Yeah,
Yeah. This year's a little bit different.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so now what?
So Babe Trip was like I said, like
success.
turning point of just like so much fun, like so much fun.
Yeah. So
Wait, so
then,
did Carly and Izzy hike with you for the rest of the trail?
No, just that
No.
section.
Okay.
So it's
from
2 days.
Kearney
With a-
to Superior.
Got it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like 2.5 days.
yeah, and we only did I think we did 15 and then another 15 into where they would get off.
But
And-
that was such a gnarly 15. It
Well,
was
yeah.
route finding. It
So-
was like pokey. It was.
yeah,
It was.
the GET
yeah.
section was a lot of route finding and no trail really, and a lot of just bushwhacking, going through like the pokiest terrain I've ever hiked it for sure.
So are you using maps, or I imagine are you relying on Guthook?
I'm relying on Dirty A.
I had Gaia. I loaded the route onto Gaia, but also you're just following the first day, the first half was you're following this wash more or less until you get to camp. And we had a lot of beta and notes about these 2 days in Guthook. Someone had coordinates and everything for like where exactly the water is, where the camp is, where you would turn off. And so it was actually very detailed and very helpful. And that's actually what made me even want to do this section, because I felt very confident with that info and having that on there. And it was very recent. It was like only a couple days before. I was like, oh yeah, we could do this totally. And like between all of us, like we'll make it out alive. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
just to clarify, the GET is not overlapping the AZT. This is an alternate.
It's the old AZT,
okay,
but they changed it because they wanted to make it more accessible for bikes.
Got it.
And it's prettier.
So if somebody wants to stay on the AZT now, they're not struggling with navigation.
No.
Okay.
And this alternate, a huge reason why I wanted to do it was because it was supposed to be this like really scenic, and you're going through a wilderness area, and that's why now bikes can't do that. So
did it live up to the hype?
Yeah,
was it beautiful?
Yeah, it was so beautiful. Yeah. And the water was so good when we got to it. That was a funny thing too.
That was probably the best water on the whole trail.
Yeah, it was very clear.
Yeah, it was really good.
So previously you had mentioned that this was, I don't know if it was a high snow year, but there was snow. Did you encounter that?
Day one.
Plenty
of snow.
Day one, climbing up. And then staying up on the ridge by Miller Peak for, I would say, about 5 to 6 miles. We were hiking through about 6 inches of snow, fresh snow that had fallen maybe a couple days before. And there was steps.
That was it.
It snowed on us outside of Pine.
Oh, and then later on the trail in Pine.
That was it. It snowed on us, and that was a fun day, but that was it for snow. Yeah. Yeah, that was a big turning point to the hype of the journey for sure. Like just began to be really stoked. And she was starting to really find her groove. You could just tell. Like it was really, 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 really fun, and just such an honor to watch Dirty A just like evolve and like transform
from the beginning.
From the beginning. And just like to put in perspective, like hiking with Dirty A over the last several years, we met at the end of 2018. She's often been the one that's like pulling me out of spiraling situations or just like tough climbs or just like not fear, you know? And she's always believed in me and telling me I can do it. And it felt like at the beginning of this hike, it had like shifted a little bit. Like she was spiraling with the heat and her feet were struggling, and so it felt really good to just like be her support when she's always been mine. And like literally the reason why I came to this trail was because she was going. And so just to like start to watch her just like feel good in her body and just confident about this hike and like start to enjoy it was just like such a gift to the rest of our hike, to be honest. Like, we started to just like radiate. And at one point you looked at me in Flagstaff and you were just like, I feel like we are just vibrating at this really high frequency.
You said that. You said it. You said it. You're the corny one.
Honestly, I gotta side with her on that. You're pretty corny.
You guys should have hiked to Sedona and just like stayed.
Oh man, so I think like with what Weezer is saying, this trail was just like the best teacher. Like she puts you through the ringer at the very beginning, and she just makes
she is the Arizona Trail. Yes, we are calling the Arizona Trail a female, feminine.
She just like is so relentless and basically just brings you to your knees to the point where you just want to give up. You're just done. You don't want it anymore. You're over it. But then if you do persevere, then you get to really reap those rewards of like you become stronger mentally or physically and then mentally. And then you just feel like you just feel invincible. And then you do the rest, and the trail gets easier, right? Like from a terrain standpoint. And you just feel like you can just, I don't know, go on forever, but you don't, because you also don't want to end the trail because you're having so much fun. So you just still keep it like, you keep it chill still, because like you're having a good time and you just want to like soak it all in.
So the northern half is easier than the southern half?
Oh gosh, yes. You get to a point where it's literally dubbed. You get to a point where it's literally dubbed the Ponderosa treadmill. And you're in that for like a couple 100 miles. It's crazy.
It's flat. You got shade. You got cooler weather. Water still is always tough. I mean, there's a little bit more, but it's still it was tough the entire trail.
So is there a good argument to be made to hike this trail southbound from an easiness standpoint, that you get a couple 100 miles to break your legs in before you're really getting your ass kicked?
I don't even know, because then you got the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon gave us a run for our money there at the end, because we had been walking flat terrain for so long that we were like, oh, we forgot how to climb.
but we still had it. Like, it wasn't anything. Sure. It was like a really beautiful grand finale to have the Grand Canyon at the end. I wouldn't do it any other way. I would just get my ass kicked in the beginning and then go through that process of feeling like you're just like rebirthed, and it just feels really good. I don't know. Yeah. I like it that way.
So separating your experience, obviously the particulars, the stories, if you could go back and hike one 50-mile section or insert any number of miles, is there like a standout portion of the trail that you would want to go back and do?
The Mozzies were great, but they were just so hard. The Grand Canyon, I mean, I can't. Like that just like was beautiful.
I would love to do the first 50 miles again, just to like feel that, but in a different mindset, in a different like physical
without
state.
suffering.
Day one
without suffering. Yeah.
That's
what I would do again. But I'm only saying that because it's just so hard to pick like my favorite 50 miles, because every section was so special, and it wasn't just the beauty or like how nice the trail felt, but it was just like getting to have all of these moments. And like we talk about like the moments within the moments, and then within those moments with all the people like around us, or our little trail family. It's just
that was the magic. There was so much magic.
So I'm a town guy. I look forward to town. I enjoy my 24 hours in town. Excited to get back on the trail by the end of it, but like I do enjoy experiencing the culture around the trail. Where do you two fall on that spectrum?
I love town.
I love town too.
Town food, love town, but can't stay too long. Got to get out.
For sure. So how does the AZT town experience compare to the other trails that you've done?
Smaller towns.
Definitely smaller. Yeah, definitely smaller and less activity happening. And I don't know if that's because of COVID or if it's just the nature of the trail. It's just not that common of a trail, but every town had its charm. Everyone was so nice in the towns, and there's a really strong trail angel community in most of the towns, it seemed like. So that was really nice and helpful.
But by trail angels, we also mean mostly they're leaving water caches.
Oh yeah,
they are there to help you and give rides and stuff. But water caches and trail angels is like probably number one out there.
So PCT has the PCT water report. How are you going about getting the information for the water caches? Is that mostly through Guthook, or is there like a singular resource?
Guthook. Yeah. And basically, we probably wouldn't have survived without these water caches. We gotta say thank you to all those people that.
And they weren't even that. They weren't necessarily always reliable. But like
at the beginning, they were. At the very beginning, they definitely were.
And a lot of them would be like super random ones, or like super like small ones that you weren't expecting at all, and be like, oh, there's like half a gallon of water there. Like, let me just drink some of that, because like I was already gambling a little bit with what I had. So that was really like a nice little pleasant surprise.
So you start March 26th, is that right? And what's your finish date?
May 13th.
May 13th.
Yep. We started on a Thursday.
Such a smile. Is like someone's birthday or something?
Well, it's just led. to another adventure for
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get there yet. We'll get there in due time.
Yeah.
In this
I
second
couldn't
half,
ignore the smile.
I know.
There. It was like,
well, I know where
it
it's
brightened
going.
the room up.
I'll insert it when the time's right. Okay,
That's what she
so second half of this hike, are there any like big stories that we got in the first 200 miles? Like, are there any of those big, funny things to share?
On the second half?
I mean, we
Poop
start.
stories. Where are the poop stories?
No, dude, it's okay. Just
I guess-
any type of stories.
Oh, we
Second
had.
half we start-
Oh, Corey Nelson. Yeah, Corey Nelson. Corey Nelson.
Bring it.
Talk
Bring
about
it.
Corey
bring
Nelson.
It, bring it.
Okay, that was
Corey
that was a
Nelson. Here you go.
fabulous
Corey Nelson,
day
everyone.
for Dirty A, because I literally had never seen her happier on this trail, and I was like, oh my god, like I was just so stoked from that point on. So I was coming out of Roosevelt Lake. That's the 20-mile dry stretch with the longest, most exposed, hottest, steepest climb, right? Probably. I don't know. Is that accurate?
Yeah, just everything all combined into
it was
one.
awful. Yeah, it's the lead up of like, this is going to be awful. This is going to be sufferfest. So I have a friend who lives in Phoenix, and Corey Nelson was my first college friend at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I met Corey Nelson freshman year in the dorms. We became pals. Definitely. We smoked a lot of weed together. He was my weed buddy. And yeah, he came out to I hadn't seen him in 10 years. 10 years, and I was coordinating with him.
Is
and
weed legal in Arizona?
It is.
Okay.
Yep, it's just became rec.
She knows.
This was crucial. So Corey Nelson and I connect, and we're trying to make plans for him to come out and meet us in between this long dry stretch, so that he's gonna bring us water, so we don't have to carry as much, and it's not as it's a long steep climb. So we, coming out of Roosevelt Lake, we kind of stall. Because we were only going to hike 8 miles to meet him, right? He found a dirt road trailhead. He had
just like logistics. The easiest way for him to get his truck up was to this one trailhead, which was only 8 miles out of town. So we're like, okay, we'll just chill in town, kill some time, and then make the climb like later in the day. And that worked out perfect.
Yeah, it did. We actually swam in Roosevelt Lake. We found the worst way down possible, but we got down there and we went for a swim, and that was great.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
And then we waited for Corey Nelson, and she wasn't sure. She's like, are you sure he's gonna come? And I was like, he doesn't seem like the type of guy that's gonna bail, but we had to wait for him. We waited maybe an hour and a half. He shows up in his buddy Rhett's truck, and I knew that Corey Nelson drove a 4Runner, so I was like, that's not him. But they pull up. They've got everything. They've got literally everything.
So wait, hold on. So essentially, like the plan from a logistics standpoint is that Corey Nelson and his friend Rhett drove his truck to this trailhead where we met them both. But right before that, they had just got done leaving Corey's truck, 13 miles up north, where they were going to get to the next day. So they were going to hike those 13 miles with us, where they would then get into their car and drive back but we were going to keep going.
This is a surprise to you.
I wasn't sure he was going to hike with us, and he
and I didn't know anything about these guys, like what shape they're in, like how much hiking they do.
I asked Corey, I was like, do you hike? And he's like, well, we're going to see, you know.
All I know is like we're having Weezer's like, hometown friends or friend plus friend come meet us. They're going to do trail magic for us. We're all going to camp here. And then the next day we're all going to hike out together for 13 miles.
The hardest section of the trail at that point, at least up until that point. He's going to hike it. And so, yes, they have everything. They have Dr. Pepper. They have water. They give us this whole spread. He asked us if we were vegetarian or vegan. And I was like, mostly vegetarian, but I'm eating meat out here. I'm eating whatever I can eat. And veggie burgers, potato salad.
They just cooked us like the most gourmet meal that night. And they had all the beverages, and they had seats. They even had like a car top tent. I don't know what you
like a Tepui tent?
Yeah,
then, like a huge one. And they had all the goodies, and it was just so nice.
The key to this is the next day It was 420. And Corey Nelson and I used to spend 420 together in college. And here he comes out the day before 420. Haven't seen the guy in a decade.
Coincidence?
Haven't seen him in a decade.
It actually was. I don't know if I believe in coincidences, by the way, but it actually
Unplanned.
Totally unplanned.
Okay.
Yeah, and it just turned out to be 420, and he brought the dab rig.
Okay, I'm maybe the most novice weed person here. You got to explain what a dab rig is.
Gosh, I don't
Dangerous.
know if I can. Danger.
Yeah.
Danger. Don't do it. I did it. That was a whole thing. I was sitting there just like.
We lost her.
They lost me. They were like.
For about an hour and a half.
I looked over at them and I was like, I'm definitely uncomfortable, but I've been here before.
That's how I feel every time I smoke weed, by the way. So
yeah. So the next day, anyway. Oh, that was when I threw a fit. I started throwing some fits. I did have a couple fits. I didn't have any bad days out there, but remember my wind fit?
Oh yeah. So that night, after the dab rig, and she came back to us, and then we were cleaning up camp, and they were setting up their little tent. Corey had his tent, and then Rhett, Corey's friend, had the car topper in the top. He was setting that up, and then we started to be like, okay, where are we gonna camp? We're on this like road. It's like almost, it's like very hard. It's not even like dirt. It's like almost paved. And Jarhead's just like, I'm just gonna plop right here, put my bed right here, and we're like, okay, cool. So then we started doing that, but then the wind started coming in, and then it was kind of a slant. So then Weezy's just not having it because she's the camp snob.
I was not the cap snob. I had a few fits, and it was wind and bugs.
Yeah.
And my air mattress is I can't even put it down. It's blowing up and smacking Dirty A in the face, and she is not reacting at all. She has no reaction. So I'm getting even more pissed that I can't even make my camp, but I'm getting even more pissed off in this moment. I'm coming down from this dab rig, and then I look over at her, and she's so calm, and I was like, how are you doing this?
I was just so content.
How are you not freaking out? What is wrong with you? I was like so pissed that she was content, but it was the first time she had been so happy. She had met multiple times and said, this is the happiest I've been. Like, you were so stoked on life.
It was just so nice. We had such a good climb out of Roosevelt Lake, and then we had food made for us, and we were just chilling, and it was just perfect.
And I was like, not okay. And so, yeah, we asked Rhett if we could sleep in his tent topper, and he did not sleep at all that night, and I was apparently snoring. And it was
But that was nice
night.
of him. It was nice.
So nice.
So nice.
So Corey Nelson literally brought the best friend he could have possibly brought. This guy was an ultra runner. So he had Corey's back. He had like, when we got to the car, he had like recovery stuff to give Corey so that he could recover. And he was just like coaching him with the water. And then he ran to get more water and just like stuck with Corey. And like Corey crushed it. Corey crushed the 13 and a half miles. We did it pretty quick because we were all fit at this point. And we carried on to do 20 miles that day. But that was a huge,
very impressed by Corey Nelson.
And that was the day I realized I had a crush.
Are we going there now?
I mean, that's climbing out of Roosevelt Lake is when I told you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And then, yeah.
So when did the sexual tension start and with whom?
Oh, God.
I was wondering when to slip that in,
question
but
queued up.
yeah, I was excited for this. Tell us about the beginning.
We met him on the first mile, and we had seen him around, but like he didn't really catch my eye, probably.
Is this a recurring character?
Yeah, Jughead.
Jughead, not Jarhead.
Marcus.
Yeah,
not Jarhead.
Yeah.
Marcus,
who later became Jughead.
He had multiple trail names because he started out as Shades because he kept losing his sunglasses, and we found one of his pair of sunglasses on trail. And then he was carrying a jug the entire trail, an Arizona tea jug. He started out carrying it because he only had a 25-liter pack, and so he didn't have enough capacity, I think is what he said. And then it just became a thing. He just carried this jug. And so Jarhead named him Jughead. Well, and then he was 50 jugs of shade. He
Is
also
this like
became
a
mad.
sexual story?
No,
Is he like into kinky shit?
no,
Okay.
it's not actually.
You don't have to tell us. It's fine.
But yeah, I was coming out of Roosevelt Lake. I had this moment where I was just curious about Marcus. And then that long climb, the climb to Corey Nelson, I literally just said to Dirty A, I was like, hey, what do you think if I just like make out with Marcus? And it was just like
Did that catch you off guard?
Well, I love that we're just like openly talking about this right now because this is like a
I got the
secret.
confirmation in the car.
This
It's
was,
okay.
This
Nobody
was
will
a
hear it.
secret, like for the longest. So now the fact that she's just like so casually like saying this out loud is great.
We were in the car, and the first thing I asked her was, so can we talk about this? And then I was like, now don't tell me anything until we press record.
So what did I say when you openly told me that?
You
I was
were
just
like, oh yeah, you were like tuned in. I didn't know how you were gonna react to it, if you were gonna like entertain the idea, but you were tuned in. You're like, oh yeah, you're like, Marcus is a really good looking guy, like definitely. And so yeah, from that moment on, we didn't tell Jarhead for a while, but I did ask Corey Nelson that next day, because Corey Nelson's my college homie, and I was like, Corey Nelson, what do you think? What do you think about Marcus? What if I make out with Marcus? I just straight up make out. It was just
because he was
make out.
around for a little bit
Yeah.
there at the end.
Yeah, yeah. Corey met him, definitely.
I like that's your way of pulling people around you. Not like, what do you think of him? Like, should I go after him? Like, what do you think if I make out with Marcus?
I mean, yeah. And then Corey's like, yeah, he's a good-looking guy. That could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when the crush began. And it just...
And then what?
So how did you court him?
Yeah.
It was such a process.
Oh,
it was
God.
really quiet, under the radar, but a lot of times
It was
Dirty A and I would just-
awkward. It was 400 miles of awkwardness.
Could you feel the
Whatever,
sexual
you
tension
loved
brewing?
it. Yeah.
I love it.
Dirty A?
What's up?
Could you feel the sexual tension brewing?
Yeah, like I kept telling her, like, if you do decide to like make a move on him, like I don't think that he will refuse. Like I feel something
I had
there.
to get all this
like,
confirmation.
yeah, so I kept, encouraging her and telling her to go for it. But then we also were then it started getting like more just, towards the very end. Then we were like, you know what, you don't have to force it. Like
There wasn't really an opportunity, but it wasn't until Pine. He was a little bit of this mystery. Like we knew he liked to hike on his own, and we knew, yeah, but he liked to be around. He was always around, and he was really nice. He was shy though. But yeah, just couldn't always read him.
But he also just had like his own sense of humor too, which we kind of like, we grew to love towards the end. And then at the end, we were just content with like our little trail fam. So we didn't want to like ruin that.
So this is when I talked to you about it, because we had talked about getting them on the podcast, and I was like asking her when she'd be back, and she was like, I don't know, like I might be back next week, but there's a lot of sexual tension brewing with this guy, and we might just like go on a road trip after the trip's over. So I'll let you know. It's either going to be in a few days from now or in a week and a half, depending on how this sexual tension thing goes.
So it finally happened.
I paraphrased a bit, but that was pretty much the conversation.
sure.
In a nutshell. Yeah. So we had from Pine on, and I don't even know what mile Pine is, like 5 something maybe ish. He stuck with the trail family and camped with us. And so we would talk about it. Like, why do these guys want to hike with us? Because it was never like a planned trail family thing. We literally all just became on the same wavelength. That's how it felt.
Did you ever like reach into his pack and be like, want to play spin the jug? Like try to get the ball rolling?
Oh my God.
I wish
great.
I would have. I literally went to. I do not know how to date, and I went to Dirty A with all these. Like, can you tell me? Like, what do I do? Like, how do I get him to, like, pay attention to me, or how do I make a move? I'm asking all these questions, and we had our little girl moments. Like, she would talk to me about it, but there was never really an opportunity, and I started to just kind of like surrender to the hike. Like I realized if anything happened between us on the trail, it would change the dynamic of what we had already going on. And at that point, when there was the 4 of us, it was just so fun, and there was no pressure ever. There was no sense of time. We all just kind of flowed, and we all flowed on our own, but like together. And it was just really beautiful. And I was like, I don't really want to force this to happen. Like, if it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen.
I've got a question.
Wait a second. Yeah, I think you interrupted something.
Oh, sorry. There was a pause.
It just felt like there was it happened coming.
And then it did happen.
Okay.
But I explained it because it was a different process on how that happened. What were you going to say?
So we've talked about this flipped before, because usually the conversation is like guy trying to get girl. How does guy go about getting girl in a non-creepy fashion?
Right.
Is the conversation that we've had reoccurringly across several episodes. So I'm interested to hear the details of your guys' conversation when Weezer is like, how do I show him I'm interested? Because we've talked about it a lot from the guy perspective. And I think it's interesting to hear how you guys approached the show him you're interested conversation and like what you did. And then, again, don't want to ruin the dynamic.
Yeah.
And
were
don't
you
creep
hoping
him
that
out.
he would make the move, or did you know that you had to initiate?
I knew I had to initiate. There's some backstory here, and I don't want to go into too much detail because it does kind of expose a little bit of my personal life. But I had been in a place in my life where I had been fed up with being pursued by men that may have been friends at one time. So I noticed, doing my own personal self-reflection, I realized I think the ball was in my court, and like he had been around to hear me vent about some nonsense at times. So like he had, he probably heard too much about me at some points. So I was like, I'm pretty sure the ball was in my court, but I also knew that we had this tension. Like there was so many times we had these moments where we would just like eye contact.
When he would talk to, like when we were all in a group setting, like maybe sitting by a fire or something, and I'm like asking him questions, or like Jared's asking him questions, or like we're just talking as a group, he would only just like stare at Weez. Like he's talking to me, but like just looking at her. So it was obvious.
Yeah,
she's nodding.
Yes, because it just started to build, and I just started to like realize, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's into me. Like I'm pretty sure that we're having these moments together. So I just had a sense. I just had like an intuition that it was in my court and that I needed to be the one to do something, but I didn't want to make it so awkward. And there was really never an opportunity on the trail. So if you want to believe it or not, I think our vibration was really high, and I think we both put out energy that we knew his car was in southern Arizona. So I was like, damn, I wonder if he'll like ask me on a road trip. Like, I don't know if I said that to you out loud, but I definitely felt it. I think we did talk about it. 2 days before we finish, he rolls up. We're at a water source, being goofy as we were, and he just offers to drive me back to Denver.
But not Kotezi.
No.
Nope, no room for me.
Dirty A even asked, and he made it very clear there was no room for her in the car.
Is that a true story?
Yeah, well, I was like, as soon as he like offered this like road trip situation for her, I was immediately just, yes, finally, this is happening. Like this
we were both so giddy inside.
Like this entire trail just leading up to this one moment of we finally getting asked out, in so many ways, by Marcus, by Jughead. So, but I wanted to confirm that it was definitely what I was thinking, which is like, she's being asked out. So I tested him and I was like, wait, so like how much, do you have room in your car? Like, do you have room? Like, do you have a cab or something? Maybe like I could like squeeze in. Cause like, I don't know how I'm getting back home. And he was like, yeah, I have my cab, but it's like, it's really small. Like you wouldn't be able to like stretch or anything. Maybe you could like sit in the pickup, like in the back, like in the pickup part. And then I was like, oh, no. Like, I was like, no.
We can tie you to the hood if you want.
I was like, I'll figure it out. And then he was just like confirming, like, yeah, like you wouldn't, like, there's no room for you.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of testing him.
Yeah, there's plenty of room. You're like, oh, can I come too? No room at all.
Sorry, there's strictly one spot.
But at this point, like, Dirty A and I are completely inseparable. We literally never left each other's side. So he wasn't sure that I was going to say yes. First of all, and I did. I said yes, and then he walks away, and then Dirty A and I are just like two little kids. We're like, oh my god, it finally happened. Yeah. And I was like, I know it. He likes me now, because we didn't know at that point. It was just all this like this little crush. I felt like this little girl with this crush on this guy. And it wasn't until the bottom of the Grand Canyon when I just entirely sexualized him when he put his coconut oil on with his shirt off. I was like lathering and oiling and oiling. I can't take it anymore.
So wait, what happened? No, we need to step back.
Yeah, what is
I'll
So
be
we
right
get to the
back.
bottom of the Grand Canyon.
That's when I ask him now, and he says he thinks that's our first date was at Ribbon Falls. We just had these moments, like we just would connect eye contact. We went into the Colorado River by ourselves. We lost Dirty A and Jarhead. So the two of us were just at the beach swimming, and then eventually you hike. Then you get to the bottom of Phantom Ranch, and it was so hot. It was probably like 95, 100 degrees, and that's when he carried coconut oil and he put it on his body as sunscreen. And
Isn't that like a tanner?
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't oil tan you?
I
They
think
have
it
moisturizer
helped.
too. Like
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
been so dry out there.
It did. It
Yeah.
moisturized for
So
sure.
then you were like, ooh, Jughead, rub that oil on me.
Kinda.
And then he was like, ooh, yeah.
No.
Oh,
He
then
had
what
no
happened?
idea.
I want Chance to read like an audiobook of a romance novel. Like, ooh, yeah, get me good there.
Right there, yes.
Have you
So-
ever? Go ahead.
So he's rubbing coconut oil on himself.
I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it anymore. Like I
You
just.
started
I'm ju-
purring, or what'd you do?
I just spoke out loud. And you've all seen The Sandlot, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like when Squints is like watching Wendy Pepper.
I can't take it anymore.
Exactly. And I just said it out loud. Dirty A's sitting next to me on this picnic bench. He's over there. He sees us laughing because I say it out loud, and I was like, oh my God, I just sexualized Marcus, like very verbally and obviously. Like this is really uncomfortable, but I clearly can't take it anymore.
Wait, was you saying that the initiation, or did you do something?
I don't think he really knew that that's what was happening, but I think that was just like that moment of like something's got to happen. Like we got to make something happen. Like I can't take this anymore.
So do you have a road trip planned? You're going back to Denver. Are you stopping anywhere on the way?
So no plans really. He's just like, we got to go get my car from the terminus. He has a ride from the terminus to Phoenix with somebody that he had met who offered him a ride. And then from Phoenix, we have to navigate down to, which we ended up renting a car, to get down to southern Arizona where he parked his car, almost not too far from the border. Once we get his vehicle, we have no plan. We literally
Hotel
just
room?
drive away into the sunset.
Perfect.
So at what point on this road trip do you finally make out? Can you build it up for me with like excruciating detail? Like I want like
That's how I
a whole
am, too.
scene set up. I want like the lead up. I want the tension. Like I want it all.
Yes.
Paint the picture for me.
Sure. I mean, the first time was just real cute. So we get to Phoenix. I'm sitting in the back of this car with this girl that he had met at Roosevelt Lake, and she had offered him this ride. And she didn't know I was coming till that day.
Are you starting to get defensive at this point? Like, who's this bitch?
No, not at all. I was just so grateful to have a ride. But here's the lead up. We get to the terminus. Dirty A has a ride with this guy, Wow, who just DMs her on Instagram. Totally rad dude. Brings all his homies who they all just went climbing. So there's like 5 dudes with Wow's group that's at the terminus. And then there's this girl who's picking up Marcus. And so at the it was kind of a weird finish because there
It
all
was
these
a weird
people
finish.
waiting for us to finish. But like it was just, we had our moment. We definitely had our moment. But I felt like it just wasn't the way it could have been. But it doesn't matter. It was great. So there's these guys, and Wow literally asked me, I think twice, very sternly, you want to come with us to Zion? Because we're gonna go canyoneering in Zion. You want
Oh,
to
it
come
was
with us? And I was
the best time ever, by the way.
I believe this. I was jealous of your adventure, but at first I was like, no, I can't. And Marcus is like sitting behind me, and he's hearing Wow ask me, and then Wow asked me again, and I was like, no, I can't go. Like I got.
So Marcus is getting worried.
So Marcus tells me this later. He's getting worried that I'm gonna. And of course he's getting worried. I haven't left Dirty A's side since we started the trail, so he thinks like there's no way she's coming with me. So I do. I get in the car with him and this girl. I'm sitting in the back of this car. We're riding to Phoenix. This girl keeps asking me, M is her name. She's like, where are you going, Weezer? And I was like, I don't know where I'm going. And then she's like, oh, okay, great. I was like, Phoenix. So as we get closer to Phoenix, she's like, okay, but where am I taking you? And I was like, I have no idea.
So wait, is he with you?
He's in the front seat.
So wouldn't she be taking you where he's going?
Yeah.
But he didn't tell her that right away. I think it doesn't matter. And so then he finally like says something like, oh, she's coming with me. And so we get to Phoenix. He gets this Hampton Inn, really nice hotel. Definitely do not belong there. We're both disgusting. We walk up to the desk, and he's got a reservation, and they say something to him like, well, we've got a single queen or a single king available. And he's like, oh no, 2 beds is preferred. And I was like, oh my God, like what? I was like, okay, whatever. He's being, I literally, at that point, like I knew he's not asking me on a road trip just to ask me on a road trip, but I think he's putting the ball in my court. I think that's him just being the gentleman, putting the ball in my court. So we get into this hotel room. It's late. We got there at like 9:30. He takes a shower. I take a shower. I get on my bed. He's sitting on his bed. I just look over at him, and I was like, can I just come to your bed? That's literally what happens.
Aww.
I go over to his bed. I just like put my arms around him, and I like hug him. And I was like, oh, I've been waiting a really long time to just touch you. And then we make out. And then we make out the whole next morning. And then we just like go off on this journey to go get his vehicle. And it just starts to become really easy. And we just start talking. And he's like, what if we run out of things to talk about? And I was like, I'm okay with silence. But we never ran out of things to talk about. So by the time we got to Bisbee, we were still in the rental car. We got to Bisbee the next day. We said that was like our true first date. We made a salad in the car, in the rental car. And we watched Evening Delight. We FaceTimed Dirty A and Jarhead. They were in Zion. We were in Southern Arizona. And I just felt like really connected to him. I just felt this like my heart was just exploding. Like I don't even know what to say. Like it just, and then we spent every day after that, we woke up unsure where we were going to be every morning, and we just laid in each other's arms and we rode the wave, and we just held each other and made out a lot, and we had a great time. 10 days later, we get back to Denver.
So he's here now.
He literally just left this morning to go see his family in Kansas.
Got it.
So what now?
I don't know. I don't know. Just see where he's going to come back, and I'm pretty open and he's pretty open, and we're just going to keep riding this wave.
Neat.
Yeah.
I love that. I love.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever wrapped up an interview with like a romantic love twist at the end of it.
Don't forget Reptar's episode.
Oh, I actually
That was
can,
more
because that was so long
harassment.
ago. That's like many brain cells ago. But yeah. Damn, that was a wild ride. Well, you two, thank you so much for the walkthrough of the AZT. I felt like I was there for a lot of it, even though I didn't get a poop story. It was good enough that I'll forget that part.
Nice.
You didn't get a
poop
what story?
Poop story.
Poop
Zach's
story.
obsessed with poop.
Oh.
Don't mind him.
Do we have a good
Dirty A, you're like one good poop story from Dirty A having a whole different meaning.
one? Do I have
Yeah.
a poop story? Wait, what?
No, sorry.
Don't worry.
It's
okay.
anyways.
We always poop together. Does that count?
What?
Like you guys
Yeah.
cycle together poop wise?
Or you like hold hands and squat?
We have
What do you mean?
No, just kidding.
oftentimes we would just like stop like dead on our tracks on the trail and be like, I need to go poop. And then we would just like walk off trail together and then like split up, poop,
Yep.
and then come back.
Yep. We did that
That's
multiple
romantic.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd pee next to each other too, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dirty A, do you have anywhere to go?
Right now?
Yeah.
No.
Like, do you okay.
I mean,
this is the first time in a
I'm-
long time where we're keeping the guests on for the segment portion of the show. If you're cool with it, you're captive here, so I know that you have no
Weezer has
choice.
to-
I am
Unfortunately, you
captive.
rode with me, so you leave when I leave.
Yes, I
Yeah, you
love
do.
it. I miss my chance time. been a minute.
I know, it was hard
okay.
not catching up on the way here.
Well, we don't want to keep you captive if you don't want to, but if you want to bail or if you want to stick on, we would love to have you.
Yes, we
Yeah.
would.
What's happening?
Okay, sweet. Okay.
We're just doing like some segments.
Yeah, we just concluded the interview portion of the show. We've got some segments.
They're kind of fun.
Yeah, they might be fun. We'll
fun.
see. We'll see.
Zach spits some propaganda for a bit, so you just kind of zone out at this part.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can
love
literally
it.
just like,
Yeah,
this
just
is where
just
you
close
go to the
your
bathroom,
eyes.
or this is where everybody
Drift
listening goes to
off.
the bathroom. But yeah, to the Trek propaganda portion of today's show, we're going to Trail Correspondents Season 3. It's officially out. I know I pumped this earlier in the year, and then I dropped the ball for a myriad of reasons, but it is officially back.
Had
This
a child.
is
It's okay.
child coronavirus and just like stress of life. But it's happening now. So we're
Yeah.
here we are. This is a southbound season, the first time we're doing a Sobo season for Trail Correspondents. OG Backpacker Radio listeners are familiar with Trail Correspondents because it originally was birthed on the show, and then it branched off last year or 2 years ago to its own podcast, and now we're back for season 3. Not only am I very excited about this particular group of hikers, but this season will be very interesting for anyone who's curious about Sobo hiking. So we're tracking hikers on the AT, PCT, and CDT. As of this recording, the first episode is out, which introduces our hikers. The second episode right now is in production, so it could be out by the time you hear this. I'm not totally sure. But we're moving, we're shaking. If you want audio updates from those who are walking the walk, hit the pause button right now. Go subscribe to Trail Correspondents wherever you listen to podcasts, and then come back here because I have abandonment issues.
Yeah, come back.
Yes. Okay. So this one includes you two. Triple Crown. We've done a Triple Crown with you before, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so Triple Crown is we go around the table and we essentially draft items of the category that we're presenting.
Our top 3.
Our top 3, Triple Crown, yeah. So this particular Triple Crown is Triple Crown of desert things. So this could be things that you associate with the desert, things you like about the desert, things you hate about the desert. Really just like things that come to mind for you when you think about the desert.
I will say, like, there's a lot of times where there's sometimes misunderstandings
Yeah.
as to what the theme is. Like, Zach will say something and I'll misunderstand it and then accidentally do something wrong. So, like, for this one today, he was messaging about the theme. And
That's right.
this is like another instance for anyone who's listening and like always knows when I fuck these up. This was almost the case, but Zach saved me by telling me. So he was like, okay, what about for Triple Crown today? We do like Triple Crown of dessert things. And I was like, cool. Like, I think like maybe like we shouldn't do that. Like, I can brainstorm a bit if we're running low, but like they're both kind of like mostly vegan and like don't eat a lot of non-vegan things, so I'm sure there's not many desserts for them to choose from, and like surely we could find something that's like a little funnier with like banter that like we could all do and talk about that's like relative to what we're going to be talking about, right? And he's like, no, like dessert or like desert, like the Arizona trail, like the trail they just hiked, like the desert, like it couldn't be any more on brand. And I was like, oh, right, desert things, not dessert things.
I will have you know when it comes to dessert, there's no discrimination for me in any way, shape, or form.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, unfortunately, that's not our theme, as
Yeah.
I've learned. Otherwise, I would have came with 3 different dessert themes that I really like.
No. I forget what grade it was, but when someone presented that the more S's is the thing you want more of, I haven't forgot it since.
What?
So dessert is 2 S's. You want more dessert, you want more S's.
Yes. I mean, I know how to spell them. Come on. I just
you?
I was reading fast, and I always have dessert. in the brain.
I'm a terrible reader when it comes to like quickly
Always.
perusing.
You know what I
things.
can never remember how to spell is forest. Is there 1 S or 1 R or 2 R's?
Yeah, I'm on the same
One's a
page with you.
name and one's got a lot of trees. Like
Yeah.
one is a name of usually a male,
Forest.
and the other one is like lots of trees.
Oh, it's not the same spelling?
No, one of them has 2 R's and one of
The
them has 1
name.
R.
I didn't know
Learn something
that.
every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on who's naming who.
Yeah.
But
True dat.
So I'll instead of doing a snake draft, that'll be crazy. Let's just go in a circle. Why don't you start?
Triple Crown
Go guest wise and then end with me.
of
Cool.
the desert.
Desert
Yeah,
things. Just
pick
any.
desert
You can
things.
pick out anything from the desert.
best of.
Yeah.
Sunsets.
Beautiful
Ooh.
choice.
And do you know why? They're so
I
great.
don't, but I do. But tell me.
I think a lot of times the desert sunsets are just so great because of all the dust in the air.
Really brings out those colors.
Yeah, makes them pop.
Yeah.
Love that.
Totally agreed. Beautiful sunrises and sunsets.
Or Dirty A, your turn.
Dizzy.
Dizzy?
Dizzy. That's what I think
Being dizzy?
of. In the
It
heat.
sounds consistent with her story. Like,
Okay.
is that related to the panic of just being hot?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is one of your favorite 3 things about the
It's not
desert.
my favorite. I introduced it as
okay.
just like things you associate with the desert.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry again, me.
I'll say a good one on the next one.
Yeah, no, that was perfectly fine.
Love
Just
it.
things you associate with the desert. That's perfect.
Okay, so that okay. Night hiking.
Yeah.
Always fun when you like have your little crew and you're planning a night hike.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just like you straggling behind having to night hike. It's like we're all doing this fun thing
Yeah.
together. Love that.
Yeah.
This, because there's a finite number of things and 4 people, I'm going to kind of take a tangent off of yours and just say the inspiration to hike when it's not peak heat hours. Like, there's not a lot of circumstances where I'm waking up before the sun gets up and very diligent in doing so. But the desert is one of the places where like my alarm is set at 4 and I'm hiking as soon as I can, because you do not want to confront the heat of the day. It is punishing. Yeah. So shout out to the desert for making me not be a total bum.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that. I would also say pokey things. Everything was sharp and pokey. It was everywhere, literally everywhere. I hated it.
Any standout cacti?
Like in what regard? They were
Specific
I was
plants?
so drawn
One
to
you
the
hated?
saguaros. They were so beautiful, and we hit the bloom. We hit a lot of the bloom just perfectly. So we got to watch the desert pop off, and it was incredible. It was, yeah, I'd never seen the desert like that. I didn't have that bloom in the PCT that I remember. Yeah, so there was a lot of like Ocotillo. We learned a lot, about.
Yeah.
I can't remember right now, but yeah.
Neat.
I would say, back to Zach's point of having to kind of be on this schedule, I would say discipline. Like the desert, make sure that you're disciplined when it comes to not just when you do your hiking, but like make sure you're on top of all your other vitals, like make sure you're drinking enough water, enough
Truly.
electrolytes, you're peeing good, and you're taking care of your feet, because it's just that much more involved. So yeah.
That answer was 3 mms up. Like you got a consensus out of that one.
Yeah.
Which is a good sign.
I'm also going to piggyback off Zach's and take
Get
the
off my
gap
back,
in
guys.
yours. No. So you were talking about needing to plan your day to avoid hiking in the hottest part of the day. Mine is going to be siestas.
Yeah.
Because nowhere else does everyone say, hey, let's just not hike for several hours in the
Yes.
afternoon.
Yeah.
I love that. Because
Yes.
I like taking like a midday break, but usually by the time I get there, people are wrapping up. But when they siesta, they're still there and they're not leaving anytime soon.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
just chill.
Do you nap?
Yeah.
Are you a good napper in general, or does it require
Oh, I'm a
like physical?
great napper.
Yeah.
I'm a bad waker-upper. But like I will always, 10 times out of 10, choose a nap over a shower.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter when the last shower was. Nap over shower. If I've got limited time, if I've only got enough time to pick one, like you're in town or like you have limited free time,
Yeah.
nap.
No, I'm honestly jealous because
I'm jealous
suck at
too.
napping. Yeah.
I-
if I
I-
could nap.
Oh, I sleep
My
like 80.
siestas are just like siestas. Like I don't actually
Yeah.
siesta. I just
Yeah.
hang out.
They used to I used to skip lunch because it was just like I need sleep. Like I remember distinctly, it was near Baden Powell. Like Ball Flap and them had to wake me up because I just laid on the picnic table and went to sleep. I didn't want them to forget to wake me up,
man,
so I
I'm
just
so
laid
jealous.
across the picnic table and fell asleep as they all ate around me. I didn't even want lunch.
Yeah.
I was like 30 minutes of sleep will feel better.
Yeah. If I nap, there's a good chance that I'm sick. So
I mean,
I'm jealous. Let's go. This is a tangent off pokey things.
Yeah.
Specifically, I don't know if this is on the AZT or not, but I love this cactus, the jumping cholla.
Yeah. Oh, dirty A!
Yeah.
Full day with that.
Yeah. Is there a jumping
Yeah.
cholla story?
Yeah, I had 2 jumping cholla things jump on me. So
Ugh.
they attacked me on the same day. Yeah. So painful. Not necessarily when it goes in, but when you have to pull it back out. Very painful.
Is it itchy for a period of time afterward too?
Maybe for like a couple minutes, but then I tried not to think about it, so then it wasn't like itchy at all. It was just painful, like pulling it out. It was like getting a vaccine almost, and then blood comes out. It's very deep. Yeah, it's a deep.
Yeah.
It's a deep, whatever, puncture, whatever you want to call it.
But then it like latches, right? It, like
Yeah,
hooks.
because the end of the spine has like this little hook. That's why it's so hard to get them out, and that's why you bleed.
Yeah.
Little
For-
harpoon.
For
Terrified.
anyone who's not familiar, look up jumping cholla. Very interesting. But yeah, the segments come disconnected very easily. They're trying to live on anything that moves, including people,
Yeah,
especially Dirty A.
yeah.
Yeah, twice in one day.
Oh, one day. Yikes. That's a bad day.
I think my last one, I know it's like cliche, but I'm gonna go with magic. It's just like the desert just holds something really special. Maybe I just had a really fantastic time out there, but there's a lot of solitude out there, a lot of vastness sometimes, and just wildly diverse though as well. Like,
Yeah.
from what I remember with the Arizona Trail, I'm pretty sure it has the most wildlife of any national scenic trail. Do we have someone that can fact check?
Elise.
No.
Just kidding. But like, I mean, it makes sense to me. Like between all the critters and just everything. Like there's just I saw so much new wildlife out there, and it's just
We
like,
didn't even talk about the wildlife.
Yeah,
I'd love
I didn't
to.
think there was much.
Yeah.
oh
Snakes.
god, it's endless. Yeah, I saw a jackrabbit for the first time, a javelina, Gila monsters. She saw 2 of them.
Javelina,
Two
they're
Gila
similar to
monsters.
pigs, right?
They sound like
wild
Pokemon.
pigs. Yeah, jackrabbits have big ears. We saw coyote. We saw.
What's
Two Gila monsters in the same
What's a
day.
Gila monster?
You gotta look them up. They're a rare find.
It's a lizard.
reptile.
It's a venomous lizard, but they're very rare. They're very rare. Some people have lived in Arizona their whole lives and have never seen one. And I saw.
Wow.
Are they
two.
large? They kind of remind me, like the name reminds me of like a
They're
really
like-
overweight salamander that's at least a foot long.
They're like this big, like
Yeah.
a foot or under a foot long, and
Yeah.
they're very funny the way they walk. I thought they were pretty friendly. They didn't.
Okay.
I didn't feel threatened or anything. They were very interesting.
Seem to walk very methodically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's snakes and scorpions, and we saw elk later on, and we saw weird deer and wild horses, and
You see a lot of rattlesnake?
we saw one. Was that the only rattlesnake you saw was that one out of the GET Dirty A that didn't move?
Yeah. Well, and
that
then
the only one?
Jarhead saw one later that day, I think, and then I just heard it. I heard the rattle. It was super loud.
That's it.
Yeah.
But it just, to me, like seeing that and just being among that, observing wildlife, there was so many birds too. That's just the magic that you can't. I had been in the city all year too, so it felt like felt like the magic was more enhanced.
And then on the very last day, we saw a scorpion. Finally.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
that was
Yeah, we
really
did.
nice.
Yeah, it's so magic of
Yeah.
wildlife. I don't know.
Well, ginger
Dirty
balls
A,
too.
yeah.
Seeing ginger balls on that last
You saw-
day.
Sorry, we
Was I out there?
think of different things when you say that.
This guy, our friend,
Did I FaceTime you next?
We met a guy on the PCT in 19, and then
Yeah.
we ran into him. He was doing the Hayduke.
Oh, shit. He's a Trek ambassador, that ginger ball.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
sure there
yeah,
can be
okay.
multiple.
I mean, there probably
Yeah.
can
There
be, but
probably
Yeah, he's
is.
got
probably
red
not
hair.
multiple ginger balls that are on the Hayduke this year.
Yeah, at least 2.
Yeah, that's funny.
Thanks.
Dirty A, what's your triple crown?
Oh, my next one. I would say the Starry Night.
Oh gosh, yeah, you saw so many shooting stars.
So many. And then the Starlink. Do you remember that? You guys
Okay,
know
wait,
what
no,
the
we-
Starlink?
I know this is going long, but Weez mentioned the Starlink in the car, and I had no idea what the hell she was talking about.
So I actually had a friend who was in Arizona recently. I'm not sure if it was the same time as this,
I'm
but
sure.
he thought it was UFOs until somebody like really told him what it was.
What is
Oh
it?
God! How
This
many
is-
days did he go on thinking it was UFO?
Yeah.
He did like a week long road trip with his family. So I
Oh, wow.
couldn't even tell you the time. This was probably 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I
That's
guess
a long
maybe the same
time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a Starlink.
So I think what was it? Elon Musk just put out a bunch of satellites
Yeah.
into the sky, and we
Yeah.
were camped totally clear. There was no trees or anything around, no clouds that night.
Yeah.
We're all camped. Dirty A's in her tent. Jar had pitched his tent, but he was out eating dinner with us, and then Marcus is a little over there, and I'm here. We're both cowboy camping, and Jared's facing the opposite direction of all of us. We're all facing this way. He's facing that way.
Mm-hmm.
What does he say? He's like, super subtle.
Super
Like,
subtle.
there's like
weird like lights on the sky. They kind of look like reindeer.
Yeah, he kept calling them reindeer. Oh yeah.
He's and then we kind of were like not necessarily paying attention, or like we weren't necessarily like invested, and then it went on, and then he started seeing more of these lights or whatever. So he's like, you guys should probably like take a look at this. Like it's really
like
weird.
Across the sky. And
so then we did. So then at that point we all kind of came out of our tents. Or she just like looked around because she was already outside cowboy camping. And then we're like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? It was the weirdest thing. You'll have to Google it. But it's just like uniform lights, just like the same size and they're same distance from each other and moving at the same exact speed in the same exact direction, like the same line.
Weird.
We had no idea. We came up with all these things: reindeer, the U.S. government, UFO. It
didn't help that we were pretty high too that night.
I was waiting for that part to come out. Yeah.
So we're just like,
this is a SpaceX project, and they're trying to bring internet to the entire world, basically. And I think they saw the launching of the satellites.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Oh,
But then we
so
saw
fun.
the source. We saw the source. We're down at the bottom. We saw the source that was.
Well, that was even weirder. The whole entire experience was very bizarre. And for that one night, none of us had any idea what it was. We realized the next day because I think one of us Googled it or something.
And looked it up.
And
I remember that was a moment, though. I think that I realized Marcus might like me because I was like, Marcus, because we were the two cowboy camping, and I was like, are you scared? We were just getting ready to go to bed. I would often ask him that, and I had like this little theme along the trail where I would say, like, sometimes you just gotta let fate take the wheel and steer. So like, if you get scared that you're gonna die because of a bear attack, you just gotta trust that that's the way you're supposed to die, from a bear attack, and how cool you're gonna die from a bear attack, So like, I asked him.
So lucky right now.
Well, you gotta do the best you can up until that point.
set
Set
Okay,
yourself
that your
up.
leg's
But like,
severed. That's just how you're supposed to go. You know?
You had too much leg.
I mean, I feel like I say it a little bit more wiser. than that.
Let the hypothermia take you. It's fine.
But he said something like, well, no, like if I'm, I don't know what he said. Something like, if I'm supposed to die because of an alien invasion, then I guess that's how I'm supposed to go. And I was like, that's the stuff I used to say. So
And that's when you noticed that he liked you, was when he said, if I'm supposed to die of an alien invasion, I guess that's how I go.
I wish I could remember
Weird connection
exactly
there.
what he said, because it was just like, it felt
flirting
like
so much.
my words.
You're
and
giving
I was
on
like,
too strong.
he's listening to me is how I felt. I felt like he was listening to me. is the way I
Vibing.
would speak.
Okay.
He thought we were the coolest chicks, by the way.
Neat.
Where are we on the Triple Crown?
I believe it's my turn.
Yeah.
I had two. I don't remember the first. No, you know what? I have two. They neither of them are pleasant. So
Okay.
I'll say one, and one's an honorable mention.
Sure. I feel like the good ones are
Ooh,
taken.
honorable mention. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, mine's also a variation of Weezer's. She mentioned wildlife in passing when she talked about something else. I'm going to go with unpleasant wildlife for the desert because, like, no thanks to the snakes, no thanks to the scorpions, no thanks to the tarantulas,
Mountain lions.
no thanks to the mountain lions. Like, there's just like a lot in the desert, but like mainly like the rattlesnakes, where you're just like kind of always on edge. Like how like Kodezi or Dirty A was saying, like the discipline is like something that factors into it. I think like constantly feeling on edge and anxious is part of it, because you can't really walk without like doing a constant scan. And if you're like me, who wears glasses and not contacts, but like doesn't really wear glasses while you're hiking because they're for distance, but looking at the ground with them gives you a headache, then you're just walking without glasses in a place with rattlesnakes, and you're never really settled.
That's stressful.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
legit.
oh, it is.
And a lot of bugs out there, too.
Yeah, a lot of bugs,
They're
sunburn.
awful.
The sun's brutal.
Yeah.
Let's
This
talk
is
about
like a
sunburn.
brochure for
Sheesh.
not hiking in the desert right now.
That's why I haven't done the trail.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the only reason that the AZT has never crossed my radar is because when we had Gummy Bear on, he talked about this 2-mile stretch that was just high grass where you could hear rattling, and it reminded me of the scene of Jurassic Park where they're in the high grass and you can hear the raptors, and they're doing all the different camera angles so you can see the raptors seeing them, but you can't see the raptors as them. And like I always think that that's the rattlesnakes in that part of the Arizona Trail just seeing me and me not seeing them, and I've never tried to plan an intricate trail after that.
I feel like a lot of your life is influenced by Jurassic Park.
Based on
Is this
what?
a common
I
theme?
think didn't we talk about it in the previous episode?
No,
Maybe I'm the one who's high. Okay.
I'm not admitting to that if it's true because I don't remember.
At least we'll fact check us for sure. Last one. I'm gonna go with. Wait, I had it on my list. I'm forgetting. You guys took all my favorite ones. Oh my god, this is the lowest hanging fruit, especially for me. Just, I guess it may be a tangent off of the anxiety thing. Is the need for shade,
Yeah.
especially as a fragile ginger-skinned individual myself. Like it's not just like a heat thing. It's like I'm gonna get cancer all the time thing. So yeah, hiking with an umbrella is essential for me, and finding spots where you can get shade naturally is like a time where you can calm down. I'm sure it's nice just to like cool off, but also not have the feeling that like you're just
Mental.
absorbing UV rays all day long. Yeah.
I get very slow when it's hot and exposed. I move at like a mile an hour.
Me too.
I'm lucky, and I'm just like the scene from SpongeBob where he like needs water and he's all dried up, and it's just like the shot of the sponge not in water. Like that is how I feel at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're hiking with an umbrella and it's windy out, like your options are, do I just lather myself in sunscreen, which is usually what I do, or do I just like continue to fight this like a sail through the wind? It gets annoying.
Yeah. Well, so we learned about the bonnets. The bonnets were
Why you
total
liking bonnets?
a total pro move on the desert in the trail.
Bandanas.
So you just like you grab your bandana, you soak it first so it's drenched, and then you just like you could make like a little bun on your hair first. I guess you wouldn't be able to because you don't have enough hair to make a bun,
Much hair.
but that kind of holds it up, and then you just like wrap the entire bandana around your neck, and then you tie it, and then it's like just like a bonnet, and it protects.
We'll have to get a
most-
photo of that for the show notes.
Maybe we'll do that
we
in
have one.
Wisconsin. Bunch of bonnets.
Bonnet girls. I love that. Let's do
Team
that.
bonnet. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
The bonnet babes.
Bonnet babes. That's what we can token our trip as.
Yeah. Cool. That was a fun Triple Crown.
Yeah, that's
Thanks
good.
for participating, guys.
You're welcome.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What's next?
What is next? I have a gross or not gross. I know the show's getting long at this point,
Yeah, it's
but this
really
one,
long.
yeah.
I got a pack
Should I
for
save
my
this for the
road
next one?
trip.
Yeah, I'll
I
save
think
this for the
let's
next
save
one.
it.
Okay.
We're approaching 4 hours.
4 hours?
No, well,
2
no,
hours
from
and
when I
20
left
minutes.
my house.
Okay. Well, the listeners don't know that, but
Sorry, I always count the episode starting as when I leave my house,
That's
and I
kinda-
forget that like we bullshit for an hour
yeah,
first.
you're on the clock and eat pizza. Okay. Mailbag. This one is from Ann Coleman. This goes, hello, Badger and Chance. I started listening to Backpacker Radio last summer, and it's quickly become my favorite podcast. You guys are so funny. Sorry. And I've learned so much about backpacking by listening to you and your guests. That's you guys. Good job. After listening to your episode about your Trans-Catalina Trail thru-hike, it is a thru-hike, by the way, I decided to attempt it myself as my first thru-hike. My friend and I embarked on the trail last month, April 2021, and I had an awesome time. Before the hike, we were really worried that we wouldn't see any bison. We didn't want to have any close encounters that force us to hide in bear lockers. Shout out Chance. But we thought it would be cool to see them from a distance.
I still think I was in the safest possible spot in that scenario. You were backed up with a cliff and an ocean. Yeah, it was like it went up. Like, it
I'd
wasn't
say
like
the ocean's the safest place because do bison swim?
Well, that's not a question I want to find out. Moose do, and they're strong swimmers.
Moose swim, therefore probably bison do. Maybe bison do. I don't know. Probably bison. Bison maybe like aggressively float. Well, we had nothing to worry about. When we arrived at Blackjack Campground, there was a lone male bison on the edge of the campground eating grass, minding his own business. We watched him for a while, but he was doing his own thing, so we set up camp and went on with our lives. A little while later, we were sitting around the campfire having dinner when the bison started walking through the middle of the campground.
Know that feeling.
There were probably 30 to 40 hikers in the campground, and we all stopped what we were doing to watch the massive beast stroll through the camp like he owned it.
There were 30 to 40 hikers there.
Wow.
That's a shit ton. That might be
day
another
hikers,
thing
too.
where like there were very few trails that you could take on, or that's the Backpacker Radio bump.
Oh, imagine. Hey, other trails.
Yeah, if you want your trail to be overcrowded, here we come.
Call us.
He walked through the entire camp to go drink some water from a trough near the privy. After he was done, he started walking back through camp the same way he'd come. He was about halfway through the camp when he stopped about 10 feet from one group's campfire. They had backed up to let him through and took a massive dump. It was pretty funny, and I'm sure it smelled terrible. So even though I didn't poop my pants, I did get a poop story for my first thru hike, so I'm pretty happy. Thanks for all you guys do. Keep it up, and happy trails. And
Love that.
so Dirty A, now you're getting a taste for usually what the show is like.
Zach loves poop.
There's
Yeah.
more poop. And you know what? If you really like poop, have a kid, because there's tons of cool poop stories from that too.
Someone sent
Wow.
us, shout out to the Instagram if you're not following it, Backpacker Radio on Instagram. Someone sent us a picture and they were like, hey, it looks like Zach's baby's blowout, because we posted a picture of Zach's baby's
Did we
blowout.
post the picture? I don't think we did.
Okay, well, we just showed it around. It wasn't even like...
No, you were the only person that saw it, which
Really?
which made it even more miraculous
Okay.
because it was spot on. It was
So,
like a fucking spitting image.
If you're listening to this, I know it's bad radio because you can't see what we're talking about, but if you listen to the
Everything
past
about
episode
this is bad radio.
where Zach showed me a picture of his baby's blowout for the gross or not gross, and it was like green split pea soup all over the back of a baby. And
You wanna see
like
it?
the baby,
I know what that's like though. I've done some fair share of nannying
yeah.
in the
So
past.
this baby photo, the baby's laying,
You
or
can
just
stick
like
with the
it's the
original answer if
backside
you
of the
want.
baby, so
Do I
it
still
looks
have
kind of like a burrito in the sense that it's just like a baby, and it's like long, and there's not much to it, and it's in like a white
Last
bin,
chance to say no.
and it's like got this like green doo doo all over it.
Oh God, that's
So-
bad.
So someone messages the Backpacker Radio Instagram and was like, hey, I found Zach's baby, or something like that. Like, look, it's just like Zach's baby. And it was a picture of a green chili smothered burrito, but it was literally a replica of that
Spot
photo.
on.
It was the exact same
Can you
angle.
pull up the photo?
Oh my God, let me find it. It was phenomenal. It
Because
was insane.
It is pretty close.
I don't know where it would be or who sent it, but I'm
So this
looking.
is bad radio, but this is not bad YouTube, and we are YouTubing right now. Thanks, Leah. So if you guys want to see this, you
Elise
don't want to see
texted
this.
us
You shouldn't want
it,
to see
right?
this.
Surely Elise sent us a photo.
Yeah, it's
in the group
So,
text.
okay. I can find it a lot easier that way then.
So when's Marcus come back?
I don't know, like 10-ish days maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's got to be Night Thread.
That's what I thought too.
Okay. Well, we'll continue to search. We'll go on with the show while Chance feverishly searches
I'll
for
look
this.
while we do.
I'll take the 5-star review.
Oh, wow, kind. Okay.
Unless you want me to look for the poop.
No, you take the 5-star review. You hate reading. This is great.
Yeah, I can't read.
And then Dirty A's leaving, and I'm sad.
I know. I'll be
I
back
don't know
though.
why I know, but it's weird.
This is from Maggie Hearn. Such a heckin' good time. That sounds very Midwest to me. This is by far the best cluster blank of a podcast. Sorry, I can't read. I told you. Not only does it provide great info about backpacking trails and gear, but they have the most wonderful guests. Again, that's you guys. Congratulations.
What's up, guys?
This amazing dialogue is interrupted by hilarious banter between the hosts, and the show turns into complete chaos when the real hiking Viking makes an appearance.
I've heard. I've heard.
Yeah. Especially if you guys listened to the last show, that was a real what was it? Best cluster blank of a podcast. My favorite episode, hands down, is the first one with Weezer, number 35.
Wow.
Shout out to episode
You're a
number
fave.
35.
You're a
while
people's
this is,
fave.
Wow.
it was an excellent episode. While this is a more serious episode, her story is amazing and it's still uplifting. So if you want to feel like you're back on the trail, give this podcast a listen. Beware, though, this podcast will give you major FOMO and will make you want to quit your job.
Here it is. Doesn't that look like Zach's baby? Here, turn it so they can see.
It's pretty close. It's really, really, really close.
We had never shared this photo
No,
anywhere.
that photo never went anywhere. And this
that's apparent.
burrito looks
That's-
just... Here, turn it sideways.
That's
That
got to be
is-
apparent.
God.
That is Zach's baby in a burrito.
Oh my God, it's too close. It's too good to be true.
Too close
Sorry,
for
buddy.
comfort, some
Sorry,
would say.
buddy.
Truly.
Sorry, buddy. I need to stop.
I took a
podcasting.
screenshot of this. We'll
Okay,
post
guys.
both. We'll post a side by side.
We did it. We made it to the end of the show. Shout out to Paulie Boy Shawcross, the guy who makes our beats, and he's our editor. He's a very talented dude. Follow him on Instagram. That's at PollyBoyShellcross. Thank you to Onyx Backcountry for being today's title sponsor. We usually give the spiel about why Onyx is so great, and they are. But today I want to talk specifically about they're donating 100% of the proceeds that they get this month from Onyx Backcountry to Leave No Trace.
Yes.
Not only that, but the app is discounted by $20. It's normally $30 a year for if you buy it within the month of June, which is right now if you're downloading this on time, as you should be. Subscribe, you motherfuckers. The app is just $10. It's a no-brainer. You get to help out Leave No Trace. You get an awesome navigating app for your pocket. It's a win-win.
Yeah, like I spoke to the dudes at Onyx this month, and they like let out one of those kind of like anxious, worried laughs, like one of those. We're making no money this month because they're donating all the proceeds to Leave No Trace. So when you can make a company worried laugh because they are donating that much to Leave No Trace, it's a good day.
For sure. And I think maybe you'll still get a discount if you use the Backpacker Radio code. I'm actually not sure. I have to fact check that. But try it. Try it anyways. And if it doesn't work, just let them know that Backpacker sent you, because that's what keeps the lights on.
Yeah, be like, hey, where's that code? We listen and we wanted to buy your product because we listen. And it's just like would be great if you could, give us that sweet, sweet code.
Yeah.
And then you'll kill two birds with one stone. You'll probably get a code, even if there might not be one. And then you'll let them know that, their advertising works and they should keep advertising here and, spreading the good word.
Exactly.
I will say, I did use the app this weekend when I was out camping. We were looking at some mountains and my buddy was like, oh, I wonder what mountains those are. And we had absolutely no cell reception. And I was like, hold on, I'll check. And he was like, no, we don't have cell reception. And I pulled up Onyx, and at first it was like a little blurry. And then all of a sudden it all loaded. Like, I don't know if I downloaded the maps or something without realizing it, but it all loaded and I could zoom in on the peaks. And I named like 5 different peaks. And he was like, whoa, how'd you do that? And I was like, it's this app. And I told him about it. But it turned out he used the hunting version too. So.
Yeah, so Onyx defies cell reception laws.
Yeah, or I downloaded the maps without realizing.
Listen,
Either
doesn't
one
matter.
could
It
have
doesn't
happened.
matter. All that matters is that it's cheaper. All your money goes to Leave No Trace, and it'll defy all cell service logic.
Yes, there you go.
Cool.
They reached out to me on Instagram.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Reach out back.
Hit 'em back.
Now that you guys are talking about it, it's like,
They're
okay.
really big in the hunting world. They're like big like for like hunters use the app a lot because it says like land boundaries and who owns what land and stuff.
Cool.
But now they have this backcountry app and it's got my favorite feature that I always talk about is the line of the trail on the app changes from green to red, like orange, yellow, depending on how steep it is. So you don't have to click back and forth between elevation and trail. You can look at the trail and see on the line what the elevation is going to do.
Okay.
Nice.
Neat.
That sounds cool.
It's like good training wheels for learning topography too. Like if you don't understand the lines like that, the color system will tell you what's happening.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Thank you to our Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon. That is Andrew, Austin McDaniel, Christopher Marshburn, Janelle L., Paul Packman Seeley, S11N, Sawyer Products, Brad and Blair from 13 Adventures, Cameron Brown, and Brent Stenberg. Quick Patreon note, we are no longer doing the Patreon exclusive with the videos. We're just going to release them all at once. So if you guys want to get these videos or a podcast on video, you can do so at the same time that anybody else gets it. But we're going to do something else fun for our Patreon people. We have to decide what it is.
Coming up with new and exciting things for
Yeah.
our Patreon people.
This one's on Chauncey's lap. So Patreon people, be sure to bother at Juliana_Chauncey for your wildest dreams.
Sorry in advance for dropping the ball.
Yeah.
We still appreciate having you here. Don't go anywhere.
We're going to do a Backpacker Radio OnlyFans account and just link it. Feet, elbows. I think elbows are in right now.
Ooh, are they?
How
Says
am I
what?
looking? I don't know.
I'd like an elbow. I didn't feel any different when I saw it.
Well,
but
currently you're
you're
not an
also
elbow
married
person.
with a kid, so
Listen, my elbows are very sexy, I've been told.
yeah.
You can follow us on Instagram at Backpacker Radio, on Twitter at Backpacker Pod, Facebook.com/Backpacker Radio. You can follow Chance.
What about Weezer and
We're gonna go all the way around.
Okay, cool. I get to go first. Instagram, Juliana_Chauncey. Facebook, Chance Hikes. You can get my book, Hiking from Home, a long distance hiking guide for family and friends on Amazon. And that's all for me.
Cute.
Thanks, Weez.
Wheeze.
Steph Lotus. Steph Lotus _ I guess is what it is. Yeah, just Instagram really right now. That's it. Go ahead, Dirty A.
Instagram, Cotezi, Kotezi. That's pretty much it right now.
Sweet. Well, thank you guys so much for giving us the journey on the AZT. Felt like we were
Yeah.
there. It was a ton of fun. Nice
Thank
to have
you.
people in studio again,
Mm-hmm.
even if it was 1.5 people, a cloud away. But this was super fun. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Because I was
Thanks for having
sick.
us.
Yes.
Yeah, there's that microphone.
Thank you
I know
so much for
I put it
listening.
away at some point. I don't even remember.
The remote control.
I'll
And
live
happy
with it.
hiking.
Bye.